Well, g'day footy fans and welcome to Brighton Oval for round 6 of the Adelaide Footy League Division 1 season. In their younger days, many of today's players dominated their respective high school and college competitions. But despite their close proximity, they rarely met on the field, even as old scholars. But this year, these two new neighbours are back in the same division at the same time, playing today at the same place. Bringing this derby game to you are live stream sponsors, the Banner Crew, 9 News Buddy Bet, Neomorph Mouthguard, Sportal, Roll the Dice Racing, Archie Sandals, Bianco New Balance, Farmers Leap Winery, Darkfish, Sports Interactive and the Moseley Bar and Kitchen. Coming up, it's the Brighton District and Old Scholars, aka the Bombers, against Sacred Heart Old Collegians. For the first time in quite some time, it's the Battle of Brighton Road. Thanks to Filming Footy, this is the Adelaide Footy League. Welcome everyone, you're looking live at Brighton Oval down here in the southwestern suburbs of Adelaide for a local derby game, one we don't see too often between the Brighton Bombers and Sacred Heart Old Collegians. Division 1 of the Adelaide Footy League. My name's Phil Heard and thanks for joining us. Normal caller Tommy Trevor is on assignment this afternoon at the other end of the city, so coming in to bring a lot of expertise. Looking forward to this, a man who's coached, well, where he hasn't coached probably hasn't been worth coaching, fair to say. Adam Jeffries, welcome to the coverage.
Thanks for that, Phil. Great to call a game with you, to be honest. And yeah, 20 seasons of coaching and now in the commentary box. So yeah, great view up here today. Looking forward to the game.
I'm pretty sure I know which one, having never coached in my life, I think I know which one causes less stress.
Oh, the only stress up here is going to be not trying to eat too many lollies and getting through the match. But yeah, no, looking forward to calling the game with you, Phil. Should be a cracker. I reckon it'll be closer than what some people might think as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, they're only separated by a win. Sacred Heart 3 and 2, Brighton 2 and 3. The thing about the Bombers is they've had such extremities already this year. They thumped by Glenunga. They went up to Port District last week and just narrowly lost. And they've had some big scalps. So at home, on their home deck, on their home mud in patches today, just not quite sure what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, I was at the game last week. They were unlucky. They were 17 points up and lost the game by a point out Largs Reserve, which is no mean feat. So they played really good football. Bar the round 1 game, I know they had the loss here against Broadview, which looked ugly on the scoreboard. They had a lot of inside 50s and just couldn't kick accurately. So Mouse will always have his team structured to, be competitive in the inside 50 battle. It'll just be whether or not his forwards can just find the big sticks regularly enough, like they did last week, to keep them in the game.
Sacred Heart Old Collegians, of course, the runner-up last year coming up from Div 2, usually the prime candidates to be relegated straight away, but they seem right at home at the higher level. Yeah,
I agree. I again called their game when they won at Largs about 3 weeks ago. Really sort of announced themselves as we're here in this competition. They had a narrow loss to Goodwood in round 1. They could have won that game. They had a couple of easy kills, but yeah, the game at Port District really showed what they're capable of. They were so efficient that day. Their tools were dominant, which I think, in this competition, there's not a lot of dominant forward lines. I think when they've got their full complement in, I know McCarthy's not playing today, which is a shame, but with Carlotto and Kakuro, they've got some really good tall forwards, which most sides can't say they've got an elite tall forward in their group at the moment, bar the recent addition to Prince Alfred potentially. So that's what makes Sacred Heart tough. But this game will not probably be won there. This is going to be a dogfight in the middle, in the mud. Obviously, the Oval looks like it's held up pretty well considering the rain. These two sides do not like each other, Phil, so they're going to be cracking in, look for some yellow cards and the umpires to assert themselves early.
Well, let's see how it sets up. We'll start with a little bit of history of the Brighton District and Old Scholars. People might not know BDOS because they always talk about the Bombers. So, merger of the local footy club and Brighton High School, 1991 there. Southern Footy League, 20 years. Couple of players still from that Southern Footy League teams in the squad. Couple of A-grade flags. Started Div 3, and since then they've done pretty well. They've been solid. Did get into the finals in their first season. Let's have a quick look at Brighton in recent times. Div 3 premiers first year there, Div 2 runner-up, and an average team, shall we say, in Div 1 so far.
Yeah, I think they're just sort of caught. They don't look like they're going to go back to Div 2, but they don't look like they're going to threaten the Division 1 flag, do they? But that's okay. You just got to stay in the division and hope to have players every summer, and it doesn't take much to compete. They've got a good coach now. They just probably need to add a little bit of talent in the summer. In the 2020 shortened season, that was the season. They got out of the blocks. They won their first 5 games that year, and everyone was up and about, and they just fell away, even though it was only that 9-10 match season. That was their chance, really, to make a stamp in the division competition. I think they'll stay in Division 1 at the end of this season, but they're certainly not threatening the top teams at the moment.
Yeah, the 2 and 3 record, they're sort of going on a similar trajectory. Let's see what their 2023 seasons look like so far. We saw them at Glenunga, 96 points. Came back and won the next 2, St. Peter's and Goodwood. Broadview, you mentioned, if they'd have kicked accurately, could have been a lot different. And then last week. Attack, 65 points a game. Probably they leak a little bit, 90 points a game. Gee, they'd want to tighten that up, especially today.
Yeah, and the round 1 result would have inflated those defensive numbers for Brighton. Mouse normally will, the Brighton coach, Brett Batwell, I should call him, he will normally structure his teams up not to allow that type of score. So it will be interesting to monitor that, take out the Glenunga game round 1. I think they'll be better than that moving forward. Okay,
and the lineup for Brighton this afternoon, there are a few late changes. A couple of players that catch your eye here, Adam.
Yeah, I think number 1, we believe that Siegel, number 42, who was an eye-catching player last week, a tremendously athletic intercept defender. He's not on the team sheet, we'd think. So that's a big out for Brighton. They'll set up a lot of attack through him. Some players, Ben Tate didn't play last week. He's an antagoniser in the wing field. He's a good player. What impressed me last week was their 2 tall forwards get under the radar. Spoke initially that a lot of teams don't have elite tall forwards, but Wellesby and Evans play the key posts up forward, and they took 2 and 3 each big contested pack mark last week. So look out for those guys. They got sticky fingers. Obviously, Nigel Osborne's a well-known player. Even though he's getting older, he's still a guy that can win the football and use it well.
I reckon it might be his kind of day out there today.
Yeah, for sure. And the game just slows down a little bit in the mud. Nigel's not as fast as he used to be. But yeah, look for Siegel out for me is a big loss. But they've still got enough, like I said, up the front to trouble Sacred Heart today.
We've just had the reserves game conclude. It was Sacred Heart 12-13-86 defeating Brighton 3-3-21, 65-point margin. Early today in the C's, similar, Sacred Heart 14-10-94, Brighton 7-12-54. That's a 40-point margin. Let's flip over. We do have a smoking ceremony coming up, so we may have to cut away for the. Let's have a look at Sacred Heart. We'll keep going until we've got something to show. So a bit of history of Sacred Heart, of course, linked with the college, Amaris Brothers College, was started in 1897, moved to its Summit and Park home, 110 years ago, thereabouts. The Old Collegians formed in 68, and in 1984, just the third Old Scholars team to make Div 1. I assume St. Peter's and Rocks, maybe the other two. They're in Division 1 in 2015. They've won a few flags, but interesting their progression. 2014, they lost to Payneham, they got promoted. 2020, lost to Teacher Gully. It was about a goal in that season, but there was no promotion, except Teacher Gully did get promoted. And 2022, lost to Broadview. So a bit of a drought of a flag there, but they're up in Div 1 as we have a look at their recent seasons. And I want to just point out what happens when you get relegated. You can go different ways, and those years in white, just finishing third when your top 2 gets promoted and finishing second when only the top 1 got promoted. They've been close for a while. Finally here, and thus far looking right at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look at those results, how consistent in Division 2 they have been for many years. So their promotion, like I said, very impressive. Over the summer, they made a lot of noise about the recruits and a lot of the old getting the band back together. All the guys that went to school, you know, a lot of players who played at Brighton Goodwood Saints have gone to play with mates. Now they're up in Division 1. So they made a lot of noise and they thought they were going to be good, but they backed it up on the field thus far. Like I said, they've been very impressive in all of their games. They could almost be 4-1, a couple of narrow losses. But yeah, they certainly belong Division 1 with the squad they've got at the moment, Phil.
And not too far away from our smoking ceremony, we'll have a quick look at how they've gone this year and maybe save the team lineup for after our ceremony. So yeah, narrow loss to Goody Saints at the start. That's Goody Saints' only win, by the way, at the moment. Then Broadview, big win. Port District, big win. Old Ignatians, big win. And Prince Alfred, that we know are the contenders this year, pretty much matched them all day. Went down by just the 13 points. Very good on the road. Still working on making their homes, of course, because they've got two, a fortress thus far.
You can see the attack ranked 9 points per game is very impressive thus far, inflated by the Old Ignatians win below, so they've got some dangerous forts. Sacred Heart.
Alrighty, we're going to go down very shortly. We'll also have a look at the games, give you score updates through the day. With Old Ignatians and Prince Alfred, St Peter's, Old Caledons, who've had a rough week, playing Goody Saints, who've had a rough 3 weeks. Tea Tree Gully and Port District will be a cracker, and Glenunga and Broadview. Can the Rams maintain the rage? We'll get Adam's thoughts on those closer to the first bounce. But I think we're about, actually, whilst they're getting ready for that, just sorting out the microphone. The umpires today, Bo Girdham and Stefan Cedarblad are the field umpires. Eli Courtney, Luke Simpson are the boundary umpires. Jonathan Owen and Alex Scarman are down behind the goals today. Let's go down to ground level.
And the logo, sorry. And Shane is also a musician and strong advocate around Aboriginal deaf and custody. Please welcome them to Brighton Football Club and thank them for sharing their culture with us today.
Coming closer. Everyone, I want everyone to be included in this. You're welcome to come in, and the whole thing about having a welcome is to be welcome. Part of it is a smoking ceremony, so to be watch yourself with the smoke. Okay, that's part of this big process, which culturally we sort of do this to protect ourselves from water, setting sort of bad spirits and cleaning ourselves and to clean spirits of bad energy or that sort of thing. Now, what I'll do, normally a lot of people, they do welcome the country and that, they'll rattle off a whole lot of grammar language that may not understand, and then I'll say the translation for that afterwards. But what I'd like to do to help to share this culture is to actually go line by line so that you can actually understand what I'm saying, and maybe then later on perhaps you can make some connection to these words and understand a bit better when you hear this language later on. Understand a bit better. Oh, that's... Thank you. Okay, so what I was saying was, what I'd like to do is part of this sharing of culture is to actually go line by line with my Ghana welcome, and then I'd like to translate each line for you so you get better understanding, right? Rather than me just rattle off 20, 30 words at you and then try and sort of do the translation afterwards. There would be no sort of linking up. So what I like to try and do is we'll go through my welcome line by line. So, Nankana, Mirina, Parna, Namani. So, Nankana is ladies, Mirina is gentlemen, Parna is term for gender diverse, right? It's he, she, whatever, right? And Namani is are you, as in plural all, good. Now, the Ghana acknowledgement of that, or the Ghana reply to that, is Mani I. So if you ever hear someone in Ghana use the term Nina Mani, and they'll say Nina Mani as in are you good, right, as in singular, you just respond by saying simply Mani I, okay, and that's an I'm good. Okay, so Nainari, my name, is Shane Kartamiru Rigney. So Kartamiru is my birth order, right? So we have our name and our birth order connected with that, which Kartamiru means I'm my mother's firstborn male. Now, so Marawichanga Ghana Mirna, Nawangati, Manina Pudni, Ghana Yata Ana. So what I just said then was Marawichanga Ghana Mirna. So on behalf of Ghana people, so Marawichanga on behalf of Ghana and Mirna people, I am saying to you, right, so Nai Wangati, I Nai, like Nainari, Nai Wangati, I'm saying to you, Mani na Pudni Ghana Yata Ana. So Mani na Pudni Ghana Yata Ana means it is good you all come to Ghana country. And the last thing I'll say is Naichu, Yankanadalia, Yangadaya. So Naichu means it's a term of endearment, my dear brothers and sisters. Okay, so it's a way of we saying thank you. And I hope you enjoyed a little bit of Ghana language lesson. Now, what I'll do now. What I'll do now is Witchawatinga, right? Witchawatinga is the actual name for Brighton. So for me, at the moment, you're Witchawatinga Football Club. Right? Just like, for instance, Yartapulti, Port Adelaide, the name for Port Adelaide, the original name for Brighton was Witchawatinga. Right? Sounds very similar, doesn't it? It's not far. There's places called Onkaparinga and various other. And so another thing that you can sort of do to look into there's a very special. This area is very special too. It is. I don't know if you know, just down the road with Brighton Caravan Park, right? There is a monument to Chilbrookie and the freshwater springs that head down the coast. And yeah, if you certainly look into that, and you know, it's a very interesting story to learn from and to educate yourself on a little bit more of Ghana culture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the gum leaves on the fire, right, and it's going to smoke it all up, right. And what I invite everybody that has a desire to do so is come and join in and wash yourself, cleanse yourselves in the smoke. So always a common thing we do is we sort of walk around the fire and we sort of wash ourselves with the smoke, and that's part of the cleansing process.
cleansing themselves to the smoking ceremony. Not your usual pre-game warm-up.
I thought that was done really well, to be honest. We see a lot of, with the Indigenous round in the AFL at the moment, we see a lot of ceremonies pre-match. The gentleman that did the speaking actually spoke everyone through what it meant, and I thought that was really well done. Yeah.
And I think there's an inclusivity with this one that I really like, that it's everyone, come forward, take part. We get a little bit of an idea which way the breeze is blowing, which is a little bit to the right, but not that strongly. For the players, Adam, in your day coaching, how to the minute was your coaching preparation? Yeah,
you could see the Sacred Heart players were late getting out for the ceremony, I think, because the preparation interrupted. But you don't mind it because it's the same for both teams. That's always the thing. Players, they get warm, they have to cool down and go again. But like I said, it's the same for both teams. So all that matters is the actions when the first bounce goes down.
Fantastic. So we were looking at Sacred Heart, and we've just gone through their season. If we can bring up their team selections. Got to admit, a bit disappointed. No Joel Cross. Was looking forward to calling him. Alex Carlotta, of course, well known from South Adelaide days, the playing coach. Who else should we be looking out for from the Hearts today?
A couple of other players out as well. I note McCarthy, who's been their full forward, not on the team sheet today, and Sam Lowby, the ex-Goodwood Saint, who's been playing a solid role for Sacred Heart this season, not on the team sheet. Also got a couple out today at Sacred Heart. Obviously, Brighton are a fraction depleted, so Sacred Heart not at their absolute best. I'm disappointed Joel's not playing as well. He's always entertaining to watch the cross. But yeah, they've got some great players. I'm tipping a breakout game for Tristan Karkuru today. He's a guy who's got a lot of goals in Division 2 over the last few, probably 7 seasons. Had a little stint at the Eagles in the SANFL. But I'm tipping him to kick a few goals today because I think a ball will go through him. The other guy that was impressing for me is Sean Tapp down back. He's an extremely intercept and can be a lockdown defender as well as Bo McRae might get a bit of a tagging run today. Look out for Lockie Hart, Sean. He's the quarterback. They like to use his left leg off of halfback.
All right, there's some of the players to watch there. Both teams do have 4 changes. Out for the Bombers, Finlay Bennett, and Segal, Aaron Warner and Jordan Wheatra. Bring in Ben Tate, Dane McGarry, Tim Dixon, Hudson Laycock. For Sacred Heart, 4 change in the team that lost narrowly. Well, both teams lost narrowly last week. Sam Lowby is mentioned out, Joel Cross is out, Patrick McCarthy and Nick Forster all outs. Coming in, Ethan Moore, Tate Gladresco, Elijah Lowby and Darcy Gluya. So Sam Lowby out, Elijah Lowby in. That
I think they're different style of players, but you've got to get that surname right, Lowby.
I went and checked with the teams beforehand. Might quickly get your thoughts on the other games around Division 1, as these players probably going to go through a little bit of extra warm-up. We're well and truly past our normal start time. Old Ignatius, Prince Alfred.
Do you want my tip for that game?
We need a margin, don't we? How far the Redmen, pretty much.
Yeah, I think normally if I'm Prince Alfred, I'm maybe resting a couple of older players today as well. Although there's a bye after next week's game, they typically haven't done that. But they'll win by 10 goals plus today. 2
teams that have met in the occasional final. Now it's really a battle for survival. Spock and hosting Goodwood Saints.
Yeah, I'm sure Goodwood, they're certainly keen to get their game going. They've been in a lot of games. Speaking to the people there, they're just not efficient inside 50 at all. I'm tipping they'll win narrowly at the Caterer today, though. I think they've still got a little bit too much talent on the park.
Well, the Adelaide Footy League is spread far and wide today. We're down in the southwest. Up in the northeast, Tea Tree Gully taking on Port District.
That's a cracking game, to be honest. Called both of those teams this year. Districts aren't quite at their best. They're just lacking that usual urgency from a reigning premier. You're always pretty satisfied with yourself, and your defensive actions aren't as strong in the next season. Teacher Gully are up and about. Luke Brown back now as well, so 4-1's a great start for them. I think Gullies win at home. I don't think many teams go out there, despite Port District spoke to a couple of their players last night. They're pretty keen to get out there and get the chocolates.
Yeah, saw Port District against Prince Alfred and was mightily impressed, but also Teacher Gully. That one is a tough one to pick. And finally, Glenunga and Broadview. The Tigers have been around the mark in patches, but Glenunga seem to be a real premiership contender.
Yeah, they're rock solid, Glenunga. They just play simple football. They play pressure. They get the ball forward. They lock it in. Broadview are sneaky, though. I agree. I don't think that's a walkover today. I think Broadview are tenacious, and they're doing quite well up in the top tier. And I'd tip Wollonga by 4 or 5 goals, but not a huge margin in that game.
So we need to have a buddy bet for this
Ooh.
game, and we were talking beforehand, and you came up with a suggestion that I'm happy to comply with.
Are you going to take me up on that? So I said in the pre-match before, I'm backing in Karkuro, Tristan Karkuro, one of the good Sacred Heart forwards, to have a bit of a breakout game today. Like I said, he's a guy who's kicked a lot of goals in Division 2. He hasn't really kicked a bag in Division 1 as yet. He's capable of doing so. I'm tipping him for 3 or more goals today.
Okay, so 0, 1 or 2. I'll take that side of the buddy bet. A couple of weeks ago, when TJ came close with the unders, though I'm more of an overs person, to be honest, as a general rule of thumb, but unders it is for today. Didn't quite pick up how the coin toss went. The ground conditions, I mean, look, we've had a lot of rain this week. The goal squares have got puddles and mud. The centre's got puddles and mud. But there's also plenty of dry patches to work your way around the oval.
I've seen it worse here, Phil.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's actually held up pretty well. It's always, this oval's always going to have that muddy patch come winter. We've had a bit of early rain this year, but the ball will stick a bit in the middle, slow the game down a touch. But yeah, I've seen it worse here for sure. They've done a lot of work on the drainage here over the years, I believe.
Yeah. And look, it just gets so much use between the seniors, the women's teams, and just a truckload of juniors. Every night there's someone on the track, and over the weekend it barely gets any daylight where there's not some football occurring on it. So
that's where you got to keep mates with your rugby mates out the back and say, can you use your oval tonight? I wonder how that goes down.
Yeah. So Alex Carlotto is heading down to the right of screen, as is the man we're going to keep an eye on, Tristan Kakuro. So I would say with that, Sacred Heart have won the toss, and they're kicking with a couple of goal breeze.
Yeah, it didn't look. You couldn't really feel it until that smoking ceremony happened, did you? You could see that the breeze certainly took it that way. Sometimes when you're elevated like we are, you can't feel it like they can at ground level. But a couple of goals that way. I still think we'll see plenty of scoring to left of screen today, though.
Yeah, I suspect Sacred Heart will come in as favourites, even though they're on the road. They haven't had an issue travelling so far. Some late changes to Brighton, especially Segal out, I don't think helps. But Brighton have been the team of extremities this year, so who knows?
It's funny we talk about road games. Sacred Heart
Yeah.
probably live 30 seconds away, don't they? But it's technically
Well,
a road
they all
game
live in
today.
each other's backyards for this one, and probably have all. I was trying to think. They only met once. Would have been about 2018. They were both in Division 2, and Sacred Heart would have looked at Brighton just cruising straight in from 3 to 2 to 1 and gone, why couldn't that have been us? But here they are for the first time, I reckon. Near neighbours battling in the Battle of Brighton Road.
Watch for Simons and Tate going at it early.
And in the end, there's a man we thought would do well, Osborne. Somehow has created space when there was none, turns around and heads Brighton. In black, heading towards the left of screen. And Tarek Illingworth takes an early mark. Fresh from a stint down at Yankee, looking for Wellesby, who goes to ground by the top of the square. That's socket off the ground. There's an early goal. I reckon it was Jack Chalmers. I'll wait to be corrected. Chalmers it is.
It was unusual centre clearance, wasn't it? Like I said, Osborne is going to be the man in there. These conditions really do suit him. He got his hands on the ball, and it's so slippery in there. It was almost like they didn't want to slide in and tackle him, and they sort of let him go. He was able to U-turn, find a target at half forward. Deep entry. Brighton will try and hit that hot spot a lot and get numbers to the fall. Went over the back. Yeah, great start.
It's going to be, I think that's the way you got to play today. Keep it down the middle. Just penetrate, get distance where you can, and hope something bobs up at the other end, which it did on this occasion. So this time a more, bit of a play off the ball there by Ben Tate that's left a mark. That'll be Sacred Heart ball. So Sacred Heart in the alternate jumpers, which I'm sort of glad today. I'm pretty sure their normal jumpers wouldn't have been a major issue, but Clayton Simons was the one who got collected. He kicks it up forward, picked up by Noble, off feet, and it's bounced through, and just like that, we've got back-to-back goals. And again, is that your man, Karsuro, who kicked that?
I couldn't see, actually, who
This
kicked
is why
that.
we got the replay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. There's my man off to a good start.
In
He
trouble
just snuck
already.
out the back there. So that's efficient football for you. Each team with an centre clearance, an inside 50 and a goal. Again, the problem being for the defenders, let the ball over the back. High ball comes in, you've got to kill it and bring it to forward. Your on-ballers run to the front of the pack. As soon as the ball gets out the back in a game of football, usually it's trouble. Yeah, wow, let's start the game again.
Not sure if I'm calling footy or basketball at this rate of conversion. Casero, 52 goals playing in 18 games for Shock last year. That is his 10th for the season. That's a high kick. No rain to be had. No one really should have tried to mark it, and they didn't. Instead, it would just go to ground level or have a secondary stoppage. And a little bit of afters there from Brian McRae, just a little bit slow to get up.
Ex-Brighton player McRae, I'm sure
Yes.
the boys will try and rub a little bit of mud on his shorts today if they can.
Joe Farquhar, there's a good soccer off the ground. Again, going to be that kind of day. Just concedes flair for distance. All taken off the ball was Blake Higgins, and it will be Brighton's second forward 50.
Big knock to the shin there for Otis Carthy, the Brighton captain, as he socketed that ball,
And
but he
he's
looks
not-
okay.
Yeah, he's made his way inside 50.
Still walking better than me.
Yeah. So kick towards the hot spot, 30 metres out. Despite the claims of Borden, usually at this level there is a little bit of prior opportunity given.
This is where Brighton will try and set up a +1 or even 2 or 3 behind the ball and get a repeat entry if they can.
Juhas was the player tackled. Umpire right in the thick of all that. Again, it's a soccer system. Could it be a second straight soccer goal? I reckon they're claiming it.
I think it is.
And I reckon Chalmers might have done it again. It was almost Socceroo style, Francis to Chalmers, I think. Again, we've got to go to the replay to check it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Let's have a look at the initial stuff. Yes, let's have a look.
There's a soccer out of the stoppage initially, and then a great little cross
No,
just dribbled over.
I'm going to give that to Jack Francis,
Yeah,
who I reckon his initial kick was good enough to get through. Didn't need the cross. So that's Francis's first goal in Brighton colours.
yeah, it was his debut game last week, Phil, the son of Tony Francis, the ex-Collingwood player. And, yeah, great start for him. Yeah, really good start for Brighton. Interesting start. Normally these games are so tight and tough, but a lot of goals early.
I was about to say, just the last game I did was Port District and Prince Alfred. I reckon it was about 1 goal to quarter time. We've had 3 in the space of 4 minutes. Now, Sacred Hearts, it's their turn. As I said, it's almost like basketball at the moment. Hot footy 50 metres out. And a stoppage. So, yeah, Jack Francis, Westminster Old Scholars, one of only, I think he is the only player out there for Brighton who hasn't played for the club previously. Some have been and gone and come back, and some have been in Sandful systems, mainly Glenelg South, but it's a remarkable retention rate to have 20 of your 21 just
I've
back
got to
again.
say, Phil, is that Karkiro getting the downfield
Well, I was
free
about
kick?
to say last week's buddy bet went until the 20-minute mark of the final quarter. This one might last 5 minutes, might last 10 minutes.
Wasn't a lot in that. It was a quick kick out of the stoppage, a bump fractionally late.
Yeah.
Big penalty though. This guy is a dead-eye dick from this range.
Oh, famous last words, but you're on song, Adam. Well done. Kakura has 2, Sacred Heart have 2. Each team has 2. It's 12 apiece.
So I keep stats here, Phil. Each team's had 2 centre clearances.
Yep.
Each team's had 2 inside 50s. Each team's had 2 goals from stoppages.
Far out.
How's that going to keep going today?
Yeah. Well, we had a late start. If this goal fest continues, we might need to test the lighting system here by day's end.
Yeah, I anticipate that will slow down soon. Yeah, Brighton will be disappointed. I don't think there was a lot in that bump late. It's a big penalty to pay for a bump just slightly after a kick when there's a lot of congestion around the ball. But that's football. You've got to take your chances.
Yeah, sometimes the umpires are unsighted and don't see it. Sometimes they see it and feel compelled to pay it. Sometimes early on especially to sort of say, well, I'm in control of this game. Again, Osborne comes in almost a third man up situation. Carthy had the ball, lost it, later tackle instead. Someone's had their head implanted into the edge of the turf there. Another ball up. This is Bradley Noble, who was one of their best last week in the. But he's given away the free kick, and Osborne's been busy already.
Certainly has. That was a strong tackle. Quick whistle. Try and maintain possession here if you can, though. He's going long.
Penetrating kick, lacked a little bit of vision, easily picked off by Cooper Brinkworth, who's been with the club since 2019. 67 games, no goals. I've got him on a special watch. Should he ever go inside forward 50 for that first goal at this level. But Sacred Heart is threatening here. This is the first chance they've had a chance maybe to take the lead if they can get a kick away. Slam down and they will get a shot.
Yeah. I don't know what your opinion on is it, Phil. Obviously, this is a hot topic at the moment, the slam tackle, the sling tackle. I'm not sure the intention there was a sling tackle.
Look, that wouldn't have got much of a cheer in World Wrestling Federation in terms of a slam.
No, I understand what the umpires are told to pay those. Not sure that was one. I like it when they pay them, when they grab them and dump them into the ground. I'm not sure that was one.
Okay, this is Tom McDermott. And we have our first miss of the day. But it's enough to give... Do I call obviously Sacred Heart, Shock, Hearts? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think when they're playing school football, I think that's what they like to roll with, don't they?
Yeah. John Simons, the Sacred Heart coach, used to call footy with him on Life FM a while back.
Is his son out there today, I believe?
Yes.
Yep.
So it's a hot footy on the outer wing. Brian trying to pick it up. They've run into McDermott. It's a little bit more of the scrappy football I was expecting. There's a Mack truck out there. Knowing number 29, Bo McRae. Just a little bit crude, I think.
We said something about the sling tackle before. I don't mind the umpires paying a lot of early free kicks, though, in these games. There will be a fair bit between these two.
Well, we should have had the buddy bet on the yellow cards, I reckon. We've gone with that instead. Seb Kerish, his kick is quickly intercepted, though, so here's a chance for Brighton to settle down and have a good inside 50 attack. Plenty of people on the outer side. We've got a couple in the couple in the boot. In the Wellesby direction, balls to the front of the pack, kick around the body, bounces towards us. That was Illingworth with the kick. And it ain't coming out of their ball up just about 15 metres away from the Brighton goal. They trail by 9 minutes into the first quarter.
Good area for Brighton here again. They'll try and lock the ball in. If they can't score from the stoppage, get a repeat entry.
Attempted shot is smothered. Oh, there's a fumble. That's trouble. Kick over the top. Not a bad effort by Chalmers, but didn't actually go any distance. And now Sacred Heart a chance to clear. Looking out here for Elijah Lalby. He's outnumbered, though, by Brighton. They head to the maintenance pocket. Oh, and that's silly. And if the umpire... Yeah, I'll tell you what. You are quite correct.
We thought there was going to be a little bit of this. I'm not sure who was the late hit there.
It's Ben Tate back in the side who's got collected.
And a yellow card has been issued, yep.
Just trying to find out who it was who did it. Any chance of the replay one more time, Hugo? Okay, yeah. That
not the worst thing I've seen on the football field, but probably not the smartest thing I've seen on the football field.
You look, and it's still going on here.
This was always going to happen with these two sides. This is a rivalry. This is a Port v Crows type of match. Yeah. Both teams want to get into it.
Brighton High School, Sacred Heart. A lot of players that probably played school footy for Sacred Heart on Saturday and then club footy for Brighton on Sunday, and have now to make a choice. And Tate has kicked his first goal, and that is his first at A grade level. He's kicked one on the Rezzies. It's an interesting one from Happy Valley. Played 4 games of Rezzies and 1 in the Seas last year. So he's his first season at A grade level.
I think you'll find Ben Tate, he's playing on that close swing here. He does this quite a bit. He's a good player. He kept his eyes on the footy there, but he's an antagoniser himself as well. So he'll be there'll be a bit going on around Ben Tate today, but that's a great goal for him and a great start for Brighton.
I suspect that well, it is now, because suddenly we've got an 11-point lead, 4 straight to 2-1. Osborne, oh, well, that's officially a clearance and a Sacred Heart inside 50. He might get a goal assist. Sometimes you see players who just kick the wrong way because they've lost their sense of direction. That was just a shank off the side of the boot. Bit of space here on the club room side. We'll get to see a bit of the footy here, which will be nice. Spills to the back of the pack. Here comes Tim Dixon, who's a late inclusion. Can't control it though. That ball, even though it's into a wind, had plenty of carry.
A bit slow to get their zone set up there, Sacred Heart, now able to get the ball to half forward really quickly there.
Just having a look. There was one loose bomber in defence, so there's got to be a loose Sacred Heart player somewhere out there. think I found him. He's wearing orange boots. Tate around the body, bouncing ball inside 50. Oh, there's a runner. Just the hand pass to Francis was a little off. There's a man wearing a white Guernsey with long sleeves. He won't be hard to miss today. This is Jack Loy at the bottom of that pack. Jack Loy, records go back to 2013 in the under-10s. He has worn nothing but the Brighton Bombers uniform over those 11 seasons.
Just a little side note there, Clayton Simons looks like he's copped a nasty cork thigh and has hobbled to the bench.
They're going to hurt today.
Yes.
They'll hurt at the best of times, I guess, especially when it's cold. Higgins with the free. Looking in Wellesby, who's well held to the back. Almost got it on the third attempt there, but didn't get rid of it and had plenty of touches, so Sacred Heart free. Go the way of Oscar Lovelock, who was one of their better players last week.
A lot of free kicks early in this game.
Yes. As you said, making the presence felt. So a little bit of possession footy here for the moment for Sacred Heart Old Collegians. First time I reckon they've played here in 4 seasons, and probably only the second time that these two have clashed in a long time. Because Brighton were in the amateurs for a while. I think they went back to the Southern League and then came back. They might have met during that early era, but this is only the second meeting since. Because of course, even as high schools, they wouldn't have got many meetings. Maybe the Premier's Cup, if they got that far.
Sacred Heart were too good to play against a local school.
Yeah.
Or so they thought.
Well, Brighton were, separate comps. Brighton as a public high school had a pretty fair footy team for a fair while. And I think Henley are the team to beat these days. So Brighton trying to clear it out of defence. The goal fest has slowed down a little bit. You never can say too many goals are a problem, but it was a bit weird at the start. Towards the half-forward flank, and they're getting behind. This is where they are doing well, the Bombers. They're getting behind in numbers. That was Higgins to O'Loughlin Johncock. Ricochet. Oh, Wellesby with a good smother. Picks it up, ducks one, gets taken, and he'll have a shot. I suspect he sort of ducked into that more than was taken high, but you've got to award the effort for the smother and go back and get it.
It's one of those ones, again, it's a bit, could call it a lucky flick, but it's there, he did get hit in the head. He's a good player, Wellesby. He's very good in the air, but you can see there he's quick to get to the ball on the ground as well. He's a dangerous player in the front half. 13
goals in 5 games, is averaging just under 3, and he has one for the first quarter.
Check side, is that through? Yeah, like I said, I called Wellesby a couple of weeks ago, and he's very mobile, very good overhead, good on the ground, and even that kick there, Phil, check side from deep in the pocket, sort of nonchalantly just put it through, very confidently. So another goal to Brighton, terrific start for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, not surprising. Like I said, Sacred Heart do have a couple of players out today. Brighton is certainly up and about for this clash. But they look dangerous on the ball on the ground inside 50. It hasn't been the big marks. It's been ball on the ground, soccers and free kicks so far. Missing 1 goal scorer for Brighton. Only got to 5. Oh, no, they're up to 4 now. I think it's 4 is correct. 4 is correct. Excellent. Scoreboard must have got ahead of me at one point then. So, back in the middle. I'm waiting to see how these white unis are going to hold up by the 4th quarter. As that was Doug Proud at the bottom of all of that. This time it's McDermott who might want to... Well, if he got a yellow card, is he back already? That was a quick 10 minutes if so. Sacred Heart has one. So Lovelock, my apologies. Sacred Heart do have a +1 behind the ball straight away now, with Brighton already scoring 4 goals in this match. Yeah. Just trying to pick up, and the loose bomber is out on the wing. So if they can clear it to the cross side, then there's a paddock to work in. Yeah, I think Sacred Heart are just trying to get the structure right here. You certainly don't want to leave a player on the wing on his own. No, but then they've gone +1 behind the ball, or maybe they're playing some Russian roulette and rolling the dice that there will be a quick kick that doesn't go sideways, which does tend to happen as well. But if I'm Brighton, if I'm that wingman, I'm going forward. I was about to say, there's a defender who knows that he's trying to mark 2 players at the same time.
And he's actually not a defender, he's actually a forward.
It looks easy uphill, but for the players around that, they're not going to see that guy out sideways and kick it to him. If I'm him, I'm going closer to the umpire, to the scoreboard, drag that Sacred Heart defender out. Or if a kick does go forward, they've got an outnumber.
Well, luck's of fortune, Sacred Heart won the Russian roulette by getting it forward and getting a mark. Cameron Rankin.
Thinks he can kick it.
Yeah. He's kicked 2 goals from the 5 games this season, 19 from 18 last year. Starting to become a nice blue sky sunny day. Right on the edge of 50. This will give an idea of how good the wind is.
It's a great kick.
It's pretty good. Cracking straight kick. You're not wrong. Rankin has his first goal. Marching back to 4 points.
I was about to say in the call, on that sort of 45 to 50 metre line, he was very confident. You see a lot of players are confident, and what happens is the ball gets touched on the line over and coaches tear their hair out, or you don't kick the ball to the top of the square, that 15 metre mark where you can't rush it through. But yeah, he knew he had the distance and he slotted it, so well done. If you think you can kick it, you always should. If you know your limitations, some players are 45 metre kickers, some can carry the 50. But yeah, that was a great set shot.
Well, what sometimes derails all of that is that sometimes the 50 metre arc might not be 50 metres.
I'm not sure. It's about 47, 48 here, I believe.
Yes.
Against the wingman free on the far side. So an interesting one. Sacred Heart are aware of that, and they're rolling the dice, trying to put an extra behind the ball and leaving a wing free.
And they're getting the clearance, but now Brighton have it, and if they see it, are they going to go the other side? They should go now. Okay, Sacred Heart have got back, and that's a great effort from Doug Brown. They'll go forward here, and they've got a man in Elijah Loby, former Goody Saints and ESR player from the northeast. Umpire's found a free, and they're getting their share of frees inside forward 50 this quarter.
Might want to see red, but it looked like it was a good old school shove in the back. Is it K Lotto?
It is, the coach.
For a ruckman, he is a very, very good kick. Most ruckman can't kick a ball like big fella can.
You notice there's not a single player around the back waiting for the handoff because they know they're not going to get it.
No, not just because he's the coach, but because he actually can kick a ball very well.
So ruckman who can mark and kick rest up forward, they're almost priceless. And yeah, we set him up big time. Still looked like a nice kick, just a bit.
He does actually have a beautiful kicking technique. Around the ground kicking, obviously, and goal kicking.
So we're back to 3-point margin. 4 straight 24 the Bombers, 3-3-21 Sacred Heart. On the Sportal scoreboard, plenty of sponsors to thank today. The Banner crew, the main one of our match day stream in particular. Jason and the crew there for all your signage needs. So that's
just checking his teeth there, the big fella, I reckon. He got a bit of a whack in the mush.
Got a whack. So too far out to score on this occasion. What are the forwards doing here?
Trying to get Kakuro free, Phil.
Of course, we've got to sort that out by quarter time, don't we? Wasn't that it? Wasn't 3 goals by quarter time?
He's on track. Just on that last kick out from Brighton, that's not what they want to do. They don't want to pick out Carlotto and kick a long ball. They're better off coming to the other side. He's so dominant in the air. Brighton do have good tools who can bring the contest. They want to kick it to the other side of Carlotto on the next kick out.
Well, Carlotto hasn't gone in ruck yet. I think Brad Noble's had that role pretty much most of the game.
I think that's smart from, you can see the game so much better at full forward. So much difficult to coach and be around the ball. So I think that's a smart move from him as well.
The other one is that Noble is holding his own and Sacred Heart are getting their share of clearances. So he's almost the man to come in fresh.
Yeah,
a fresh Sandford quality ruckman late in the game. That could be a big move to make if needed.
Despite Brighton being up, Sacred Heart just starting to get on top with the inside 50 count.
And they've just managed to bottle it up here for a little while. And kick out in desperation right down Tate Gladeresco. Now, he's from Achunga. One of, I think there's about 3 maybe players that have come recruited this year. Has not kicked a goal for Sacred Heart. In fact, this is his debut game after 5 in the reserves. Hasn't kicked a goal yet either. Put it up to the top of the square, which was intelligent stuff. He wasn't sure about his distance. Top of the square.
Wasn't sure if he kicked that off the toe or not, but you can see when you get a repeat stoppage and another chance to score, it's better than being thumped over the line.
Yeah. So that was in the direction of Kakura taking off the ball, going down and getting it now. Ethan Moore, there's a lot of bodies around, and
another free kick paid.
another
Wow.
free kick.
Not saying they're not all there, Phil, but they are certainly hot on the whistle today.
Yeah. Oh, if Sacred Heart realise that they can get frees this way, they'll milk it for all it's worth. Ethan Moore, who spent his time between the Tigers of Yankalilla and the Port Adelaide Magpies.
It's quite diverse end of the compass,
That's
isn't it?
a fair bit of travel either way. From 25. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. And someone's got to work out how to get the footy off of those cricket nets.
Yeah, like I said, look, you could argue they're soft free kicks, but when you've got field position and repeat stoppages, those things are going to happen. Umpires are going to blow the whistle. So this is coming about by Sacred Heart just getting on top around the stoppages, locking the ball inside 50. They've had 11 inside 50s to 7 by my count. So Brighton have been extremely efficient, but those free kicks are going to happen if you're continually getting ball ups and dangerous ball at that hot spot 20 metres out. We've noted on that set shot for goal prior, it didn't get rushed over, causes another stoppage, the scoring opportunity comes after.
Well, whilst the kids try and recover the ball on top of the cricket nets, we've got a fresh one out from the dressing rooms. How much is a decent footy these days?
$100, yeah. No wingman on the far side of the ground now.
What are we playing here? VFA.
I think with the ball up, avoiding the mud this close, I think they're finding that position a bit redundant at the moment. So I think there's 5v5, 7v7 at the Brighton end.
There's two coming off the Sacred Heart, and that's where the two wingmen have gone.
Which I don't mind that. Like I said, it's difficult on a muddy day. The players hat kicks are going to go in the direction of a goal. They're not going to go sideways. So now a couple of players have moved in that direction, but I don't mind it.
24 minutes gone, first quarter. A game that has ebbed and flowed quite regularly. Inside 50, that's the best forward play. Had it and lost it was Kasuro. Right, oh, there's a good smother by McRae. Brighton's just struggling to get out of this area at the moment. They do so with a short kick that apparently went 15. Ricky O'Loughlin Johncock brings it down the club room side. There's a bit of a push on Dixon, unsighted. Not keeping a free kick count, are you, Adam?
No, I think you could argue Sacred Heart getting the rub of the green a little bit at the moment, but they are applying a lot of pressure as well.
McRae to the hot spot, beautifully done. This time it's taken.
Is that my man again?
This could be for the buddy bet before the quarter time siren. Far out.
That was a beautiful penetrating kick by McRae, though. He lasered that to the top of the square. Brighton didn't have a chance to get numbers back. Even if they did, that was lasered to a dangerous spot. And easy for Kakura on that occasion with a kick that good.
Dobbed it. He's got his three. Adam's a happy man. Gamble responsibly, folks, as Sacred Heart take their biggest lead of the game, which is now 9 points, having kicked, I reckon, the last 3 goals of the contest.
Yeah, they're getting on top. Like I said, a couple of lucky free kicks have helped them, but they're first at the football, keeping the ball at their front end of the ground. Brighton are still in this contest, so they need a centre clearance. They had the first 2, and I think Sacred Heart had the last 5. So they need to get the ball back at the centre clearance and just get the ball inside 50 and lock it in. Umpires are willing to pay free kicks today, so you've got to get the ball to that hot spot inside at ground level to get the shots on goal.
Yeah, plenty up for grabs in this. If Brighton win, both teams are on 3 and 3, and they're in a log jam around the top 5. Sacred Heart win, they go to 4 and 2 and start to entrench themselves, chasing the top of the pack, Prince Alfred and Teacher Galley. And, of course, the undefeated
And another free kick in front of the sticks.
Brighton fans are saying, thank goodness it's our turn.
Yeah, and they've earned. I said at the last call, it's about the centre bounce. They got the centre clearance, got a deep entry, ball on the ground, free kick. It's going to happen. A good play by the Brighton forwards on that occasion. The defenders haven't been able to spoil the ball forward so far in this game, which has caused the spillages in dangerous areas.
Jared Miller has 7 goals this season, 2 last week, and the loss at Largs Reserve to Port District. Certainly gettable territory, 45-degree angle, 25-metre kick or so. Keeps it low and misses absolutely everything.
I was going to say, Jared Miller's normally a sneaky good goal kicker, good for 2 or 3 goals from his position, plays half forward, sometimes deep forward, but not his best kick on that occasion.
I think this one's coming back. Player Didn't kick over the mark, maybe.
You heard the call from the Brighton bench. There's under a minute here, so Sacred Heart don't want to concede a goal. Brighton will try and lock the ball in and get one more chance. They certainly won't want to let Sacred Heart go coast to coast here.
Well, there's not a player, Sacred Heart side of the centre circle. Well, there isn't really, the centre mud pit. Wellesby is second smother.
Not what Sacred Heart wanted there. Now it's a ball up in a dangerous area. It doesn't seem like much, but Trigger Happy umpires get in first to the football. That's a big smother there. Nominee for our team player of the day, maybe, early.
Well, he's got 2 so far.
Yeah. Good to see full forward doing that as well. Good sign.
Yes, you know that they're on song when they're playing like a defender when they don't have the ball. Well, it's a hot footy at the top of the goal square. Umpire circling. I reckon he was unsighted on one in that occasion. Kick around the body. Has missed. I think that was Illingworth.
I don't want to harp on it, but that was a great smother again, which didn't kick the goal, they kicked the point. But they're the things that happen in football. That's why our coaches harp on about doing 1%ers, because it gets you a shot on goal.
Yep. And you often find teammates got a ball, they start running downfield. If it's a turnover, suddenly there's open players. So, quarter time is imminent. That long kick should just about do away with any potential scoring. Especially as it's mopped up with Broadbent at the back of the pack. Not pretty football, but effective. Here we go, Chalmers. Maybe I spoke too soon. Wouldn't be the first time. The fly, the mark. Umpire says play on. Wellesby's upended. He's slung. And there's your siren. Oh my goodness.
Sacred Heart will be disappointed with this last minute. There was 49 seconds to go and they had the ball in the back pocket. They've allowed 2 shots on goal.
Yep.
I thought Wellesby was unlucky not to get paid the mark, but if the sling tackle was inside 50 at the start of the quarter, then I think it was there on this occasion as well.
Must have been touched at some point. He certainly had control of it.
Not sure I think that's the sling tackle, me personally. I know the umpires are told to pay them. I don't think there was 2 actions there, Phil.
Okay, well, he's got a lot of spectators, Wellesby, and just like that, Wellesby's got his first. Brighton have their 5th, and that's a big momentum changer to take into the break. It is Sacred Heart who lead, but only by 2 points. And what's been a amazing first quarter footy. 10 goals kicked on a sluggish field. Been highly entertaining. We will take a break, be back with some goal kickers. Adam will give us some analysis. I'll get you some scores around the ground. Thanks to Filming Footy, this is the Adelaide Footy League.
News teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on, or a message from the club, whether it be, like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support.
Yes, we do thank Jason and the Banner Crew. Well, it's an intense, emotional first quarter with a lot of goals to boot. Very quickly, we'll give you some scores around the ground, then I'll get Adam Jeffries to give his thoughts. At the moment, Prince Alfred are pitching a shutout. 5 minutes into the second quarter at Karen Rolton, they lead Old Ignatians 42-0. St Peter's leading Goodwood 32-14, 3-goal lead to Spock. Port District have gone up the northeast and at the moment lead Tea Tree Gully by 20, and Glenunga lead Broadview by 3 goals. Most of those games are early second quarter because ours started a little bit late. Phil Henry with Adam Jeffries. Adam, there was plenty to think about from that first quarter.
Very entertaining quarter of football. I thought it might be here today. Interesting there. There's certainly some feeling. There's a bit of interaction between some Brighton spectators and the Sacred Heart spectators there at the break. But that's all right. That's local football. No one was harmed. Everyone's just wanting to win this game of footy. The key to that quarter was Brighton 9 inside 50s, 5 goals won. So extremely efficient. Sacred Heart definitely had their foot on the throat, I thought, for the middle part of that quarter after Brighton got the first couple quickly. The ball was ping-ponging around, wasn't it, Phil? It was an unusual start to the game. But that Sacred Heart would be disappointed with that last minute. We commented there was only about 49 seconds we heard to go in the quarter, and Sacred Heart conceded 2 shots on goal, 1 goal won. Yep. And that's not what you want because it just gives the opposition momentum that perhaps they didn't deserve. So a great finish to the quarter there for Brighton. Kakura off to a fast start. He hasn't done anything spectacular, but just been in the right place, right time. He's a good one-on-one player and a good finisher. So that's going well for my buddy Bet. But yeah, the key to the game here is centre clearance. And what both teams, if I'm both coaches, I'm talking to my defenders, I've not seen a big spoil yet. And the ball has been, every long ball that's gone inside 50, it's crept over the back and created ground ball havoc and free kicks. So if I'm the defensive coach for both teams, I'm back shoulder, spoil the ball to the front, and at least half of those goals, in my opinion, probably don't happen.
Oh yeah, on a day when I thought goals would be at a bit of a premium, the forward efficiency of both sides would certainly be above 50% at the moment in terms of getting a scoring shot from an inside 50. But everyone is now scattering eventually.
Might be a player down. We noted that Simons came off, I think it was, with a bad cork thigh, and I can't see him taking his position again. So hopefully he's not done to the day. You don't want to be down 1 early in what could be a slugfest for 4 quarters here today.
We have got some prizes that Adam will be giving away. Almost like you'll be Father Christmas today, Adam. We got the best player on ground. That is thanks to New Balance, the iconic Dartfish beanie and the $100 New Balance voucher. Play of the day, Neomorph mouthguards, secure custom fit protection and beatable comfort. And then the best team player of the day, Moseley Bar and Kitchen. Look after your mate. I reckon Mr. Wellesby's an early contender with those 2 key smothers. And a goal after quarter time as well. That's certainly looking after your mates.
Deserved that, Wellesby, with the defensive actions.
Exactly right. So now it's Brighton going to the right of screen with the early clearance. Seb Kerish tackled straight away. Ball spills free. Umpire has found a free. Will go the way of Sacred Heart once they get the ball. Got to pick up this player in the white sleeves. I haven't seen his number yet. I just got to memorise it once, then I know. Long white sleeves. It's that bloke. Okay, Seb Kerish. It is. Back of the pack. Brighton have some numbers. Lachlan Johncock used his arms to get the ball out. Didn't go too far. Stoppage on the outer side where there's a reasonable amount of cars. Some people on a pretty good vantage point, actually.
Watch for the game to tighten up now, Phil. I don't anticipate it'll be 10 goals each at half-time. It'll be a 2-3 goal quarter here, and who can get on top.
Coaches.
Yes.
I blame coaches.
Yes.
Yeah,
too many goals.
That's
Stop
right.
it.
Brighton, good clearance, kicking into some space. Wellesby's lurking, but that's a really good mark going back with the back of the ball. That Sean tap.
He can do that tap. We didn't call him a lot in the first quarter, did we? But that
Going
was a
back
great
with
mark.
the flight of the ball. Well, that's a sign of a good defence, the filling up those holes. Speaking of, there's Ben Tate, not to confuse the two, with a thump out of bounds.
I think I called it, Phil, but both coaches would have been talking about defensive actions at quarter time. You can see it already.
I've seen plenty of free-flowing first quarters just clog right up in the second after the coaches get a few minutes to address a few issues.
We're not paid to let the other team kick goals, Phil.
That's right. We're not here to entertain. We're here to win.
That's right. Thank you. No one goes in the clubhouse afterwards and go, oh, bad luck, Mouse lost, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
You want to win the game, so you got to lock down.
Let's see what happens here, because I think everyone's doing, what I can see, it's man on man at the moment. Lachlan Johncock, good kick around the body initially, but in the way. Brad Noble. Named their second best player last week by the coaching staff. Kick left a bit to be desired. Brighton the response. Wellesby 60 out. Comes in. Sees another good defensive effort there.
He's impressive at that, Wellesby, isn't he? He probably should have got a free kick, I thought, but he didn't complain. He's got up and tackled. Like, it's for a key position player. Great stuff, because it keeps the ball at your half of the ground.
Right in front of a pretty good crowd here in front of the wonderful playground here for the kids at the newly renovated Brighton complex. What are we, season 4 I think we've had this now. As the players extricate themselves. That's McDermott, who was involved, I think, with a red card. Yeah, he was definitely involved with a red card earlier. He's back on. Now he's taken high. Coincidence?
It was there. I think the crowd told him that. It was a bit blindsided, but it was certainly there.
Lachlan Johncock, the infringer on that occasion. Kick downfield. Good grab. Good stretch. The coach. I reckon he used to have a beard in his South Adelaide days from memory, Colorado. I might be wrong.
Not sure what that penalty was paid for. Phil, was it off the?
I'll
I don't
tell
think
you
it was
what,
on the mark. I think it was off the ball down
That's
the field.
a fair 25. Anyway, Colorado kicks across the body, finds the target in Duncan, trying to work some fat side movement here. Here comes a really hard tackle from Ty Murphy.
Yeah, this game's already tightened up tremendously. There's not going to be a lot of easy possession and easy goals in this quarter.
At this stage of the first quarter, we'd had 3 goals.
Yes.
Hang it on. Sacred Heart free. And we'll go the way of the Ruckman and Noble.
They're the ones, again, you could argue that it's soft, but if I'm the ruck coach at Brighton,
actually,
the one thing you don't want to do is grab in a ruck contest in the defensive 50. You've just got to allow your opposition to win the tap and back your ground level players in. I think that's what it was for. Again, a lot of whistles, but yeah, just don't do it. Just eyes on the footy, try and tap it. If you don't win the tap, it's not the end of the world, but if you give away the free kick, then you're in trouble.
Fair run up. 14 goals last year, 1 so far in 2023. Sacred Heart Old Collegians by 2 points. Kick won't quite get. Oh, 2 of them had an uncontested shot at it.
I think Calado would be disappointed he didn't take the mark in the end.
Yeah.
He sort of unexpectedly uncontested.
He was expecting a spoil that never sort of happened. The Sacred Heart have set up a good ring. Kerish gets the kick away. Ricochets to Tate. If he can pick up cleanly, he does. Whilst he's being slammed around, he's trying to get rid of his defender, couldn't do so. Hamish Duncan played 4 league games, 16 reserve last year, 3 League 2 reserve this year for the Hearts.
That's great courage by Otis Carthy then. He's a midfielder that's run back with the flight into the traffic of the tall forwards. That's great play.
We've seen both teams do that this quarter. Kicked Chalmers. He kicked the opening goal in about the first 40 seconds play to the half-forward flank. Justin Evans did his best to keep it in, but boundary umpire had different ideas.
This is the important stoppage that you want to win if you're Brighton. Just get some territory, keep nudging the ball close to the goal. Like I said, trigger hacker the umpires today. Get the ball at your end of the ground.
Carly's another smother, I think. Spills to the Hearts. Good kick.
It's a great little kick out of the stoppage to maintain possession.
Yeah.
they'll wait for K Lotto, get some numbers around him.
Yeah,
Great
right
kick.
down the line. Big man shows his strength. Now they go inboard. McRae had a runner of sorts in Rankin. Decides to go himself into that pocket where there's 3 Brighton. They all went up. Staying down was Morgan. He gets a shot that goes across the face of goal. And spills out of bounds. Last disposal rule, fan or not of the rule, or it just is and you adapt?
I've been watching Sanford for a few years. You're sort of used to it a bit now, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind it. It takes those silly AFL calls out where it's insufficient intent. I don't mind it paid there. Back to that last inside 50 again. High ball inside 50, and the Brighton defenders aren't able to spoil the ball down to the front, which creates a shot on goal.
Despite the best efforts of Morgan, who loses his feet, Cardi takes the mark. I just feel there's a little spittle rain around the place. Hope it doesn't get too much more serious than that. We are on a bit of a, well, some of us are on a bit of an exposed corner.
Be a shame for the good crowd that's gathered here, I reckon,
Yeah.
if it does rain.
Got good club rooms here now, I'm sure, ready and willing to accommodate.
Get inside and listen to our call, Phil.
That's it. So you're right, the scoring has dried up. Like, what scoring? We've
Coaches.
gone 7 minutes and there hasn't even, don't even think there's been a
one
behind.
I think. Yeah.
So, kick inside 50 again and around the back. Oh, soccer out of nowhere. There's your score. So I had 5-1 to 5-2 at quarter time.
I don't want to keep harping on it, Phil, but again, long ball, you know, not a kick to a lead, a long high ball in, and the ball over the back again. Defenders, there's nothing wrong with playing on the back shoulder and spoiling the ball to the front. Errant kick on the kick out here.
Got a little dark, and there's some grey sky behind us to the west, so we might see a drop of rain before the afternoon's out. Is this a potential shot? It's with Kerrish.
5 inside 50s to 1 this quarter, Sagrat, so they are on top.
They just haven't. But he was their best at Largs last week. That kick there, shaken, the goalpost touched. And right now, it's just a behind fest for the Hearts. Might be a turnover here again, off the boot. They're all claiming it. And the boundary umpire says throw it in.
This is where Brighton missed Jarman Siegel. Last week, what they can use Siegel for is as an outlet option on their kickouts. I'd be going long to a player of his ilk on the other side of K Lotto. They've tried to go short on the last couple of occasions and it hasn't worked. Brighton just having a bit of trouble clearing the ball from the kickouts at the moment.
I don't think as it gets cooler and possibly wet, a short footy, maybe one kick just to get a bit of space. Wouldn't be going too far with the finesse today. Stoppage, half forward flank. It's been down this half of the oval for most of the quarter. In fact, there is some rain coming at him. I might get you just to commentate for a sec. So I just got to get a bit of a cover up happening here.
I think we've had another sling tackle paid here and another yellow card, I believe, for a sling tackle, which is, couldn't quite see it. Might have to check the monitor here on the replay. We've certainly had a yellow card for a sling tackle, I think, there. Must have had a meeting again during the week, the umpires, because they've been hot on that today. Long ball to half forward. Brighton have run a free kick. None hold in the marking contest. Wellesby, I think it is.
Yeah, the rain's coming down reasonably heavily now. That's a long kick that was touched just on the line by Sean Tabb. I thought for a sec that had carried. First score Brighton for the quarter. It's been all behinds thus far as McAuliffe deemed to be taken high.
I don't think this rain's going anywhere for a little while too, Phil, so that'll change the game a little bit now. The finessing sideways kicks will have to go away and it'll just become a territory battle.
There doesn't seem to be much in the way of wind to carry this through the ground. A Lovelock finds a target further up forward. There's a kick for the hot spot where there's a decent pack. Who's at the bottom of it? McDermott's lurking. Still hasn't come out. By letting this one go. Stoppage, 20 metres straight in front.
This is where you're Brighton. You've got to be careful with your tackling. You don't want to give away a silly free. You just want to try and get your hands on the ball. Make sure you got numbers 4 to the ball to get a contest away from this one.
And it's not pretty down there at the moment.
I think that was Simons out there who gathered that last ball, so good to see
Good
him back
to
on the
see,
ground, because he was a very heavy knock that he copped in the first quarter as the rain comes in a lot heavier, Phil.
Yeah, thankfully it's coming from the other corner at the moment, so we're not as vulnerable as I feared we might be.
Winter sport, Phil, will stay
Oh,
amongst it.
when I was playing, these were my kind of days.
Have we had another free kick paid here? I think we have another free kick paid from a forward 50 stoppage. I think we're going to have a world record of free kicks inside 50 today.
Wow. Just excuse me while I go from digital to manual. Calling from a team sheet. Well, suddenly we've got a lot more friends. G'day, folks. Welcome to the stream. Harry Morgan, straight in front, but nothing is going to be easy right now. Sacred Heart have a 4-point lead. And with the first goal of the second quarter, that extends to 10.
Could say the Sacred Heart deserved the goal. They've dominated field position inside 50 count this quarter. But again, like I said, I'm not saying that they're wrong decisions by the umpires. They are certainly being trigger happy at the moment. Technically there, I think another high tackle paid there, but you deserve it if you win the field battle and get the ball inside 50. And that's what it's going to be now. Brighton are just have to win the centre bounce here. Just get territory inside 50. Make sure you've got good representation. Get at the footy hard and the free kick will come your way. But yeah, certainly I reckon a world record for free kicks paid inside 50 so far in this game.
I've got at least 6,
yeah,
I'd say, so far, and I probably missed a couple. So if you just joined in, just a reminder what was happening around the rest of the league. Prince Alfred were leading Old Ignatians by 7 goals. St Peter's 3 goals over Goodwood. Port District 20 points over Tea Tree Gully, and Glenunga 3 goals over Broadview. All those games stream thanks to Filming Footy.
Always found that interesting. I'm not sure why the Brighton player has to get the ball back for him, but anyway, inside 50 again.
Speed of the game, maybe.
Yeah.
Tom McDermott's kick taken by Dane McGarry, one of the 4 ins. Ooh, almost put his teammate under pressure. Forces the fumble from Plenty. Suddenly there's 3 shock players, and they managed. Lucks of fortune.
Oh,
he's turned it around. Holy dooly. Oh, and there's going to be a 25. So what's turned in from a Brighton free to a Sacred Heart free to a gimme Sacred Heart goal?
Again, as we've called a few times today, I think it's a soft decision, but the mistake allows the field position for Sacred Heart. Yeah, it might have been a little bit of acting on one of the falls there. But yeah, Brighton just have to find a little bit of discipline here if they can. Not a lot in it. There's nothing crazy going on, but they need to get their hands on the ball. You know, pushing and shoving off the ball and giving away free kicks. That's all okay. They need to go get first in at this centre bounce and just get the ball going their way and get some ascendancy back. All
of a sudden, the scoreboard has changed to scoreboard's gone Kaputski, courtesy of the rain. It is a 7-6-48 to 5-2-32 on the official Sportal scoreboard. Biggest lead of the game by any team so far at 16 points. And Bombers need the clearance, which they do through Carthy. He's front and square. A lot of white, Carish ground level. Wilsey take it. Yeah. He was already going down, then he was taken high.
Brighton will be disappointed. That just relieves the pressure straight away after a great centre clearance. He's got great purchase on that left foot kick out of congestion, Carthy.
Kick towards the centre wing. Brian got a fist to it. McRae just wanted it more on that occasion. I think Carthy was half thinking football, half thinking of keeping the opponents away, and McRae just said, I want the footy. Ends up a stoppage.
I think McRae knows that Carthy's going to be the hit man a lot at these stoppages, so he's certainly trying to lock onto his body and not let him get an easy one.
Dixon, yeah, there's Carthy up as the third person by the boundary. Right in front of you, Filming Footy crew today, which has Liam on camera, Hugo pushing the buttons, Adam Jeffries and Phil Hurdle on the call. From an overcast at the moment drizzly, but the rain has diminished a bit now.
Just lifted a bit here, Brighton. Nothing fancy, but just getting in first. Just got to get in first today with the umpires paying the first man in. You've got to get in there first. Pretty
important they get the next one. Once this margin gets out into the 20s, I think it's going to be hard to reel in.
Sacred Heart have a spare behind the ball. Brighton electing to keep an extra number around the ball.
Yeah, Sacred Heart, it's 4 on 4 going forward. It's 4 on 5 Brighton going forward. Should give Brighton half a chance at the clearance here. It is really rugby scrummish at the moment. There's thankfully that rain shower, which it is still raining behind me, so, but it is not as bad as it was. Here's a clearance. Well taken by Harry Morgan, inside forward 50. Ball held to his teammate in Cameron Rankin. It will be a ball up 45 out.
9 inside 50s to 3 this quarter so far.
Wow.
So Sacred Heart are on top.
A push in the back, yeah.
He's lifted here, Carthy, the captain. Could sense that his team was just start to, like I said, get some niggles, some free kicks against. He's got his body in first the last 2 or 3 occasions.
Kicking across goals in these conditions is enough to... He's still got a pretty good hair of hair, I might add, Adam. 20 years coaching.
It's not as good as it used to be. The old silver fox starting to appear.
Ah, gotcha. So that's it. That's what happens when you do go across goals. There's a chance of a mishap. On this occasion, it's out of bounds. Last disposal.
I reckon Carthy would have. He had the kick at half back. He can get the ball in the front half in the drizzly conditions. He had to take territory.
Yeah. Ball slipped as he kicked. Still got a good purchase on it. Off hands. Touched.
Still
through.
Yet to see a big spoil today.
No.
A Golden Fist nomination. It hasn't. Not something that. Yeah, like I said, we both need to see it. Both coaches would love to. The forwards don't have to do a lot. The ball's going over the back. Back shoulder, big spoils needed from some of the tall defenders.
They built for it.
Yeah.
Almost intercepted through the hands. But Sacred Heart on the rebound, bouncing ball towards the pocket. And that's an interesting one where...
You scramble just to touch the ball,
Scramble
don't you?
just to touch it, but failed on that occasion. All right, here's a chance for the Bombers. They've got a player. I do apologise on the idea. I've got to get the brain out of my binoculars.
A lot of play on the far side today as well, Phil. Not good for a caller.
Used to that.
We've seen another yellow card here paid, have we?
Far out, have we?
I think we have. Is that
There's
3?
something into the back pocket. Now, yellow cards you come off, don't you?
Someone is coming off. Couldn't see
That's
what
a
that was
Brighton
all
player.
about. Yeah, unusual there. They haven't stopped the play or anything. He's just, wander off on your own.
Rainbow on, Brighton off.
Another inside 50 here for Sacred Heart. Just keeps...
It's been where the ball's been most of the day, hasn't it? So who's getting a rest here? So that is Dane McGarry, who's copped the yellow card. Gets a, 10-minute rest, I'm pretty sure?
Yep.
Which will take him to half-time. Might as well go and have an early shower. Whatever the half-time feed is, get an early into it. Sacred Heart trying to find some space. Is the umpire going to assist? I reckon he is.
Another free kick for over the shoulder in front of goal. I know I've said it a few times, but it just comes down to field position.
Happening.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. That's the game. Slippery conditions, ball on the ground. Neither team's key position players are dominant. The tall forwards aren't marking it. The defenders aren't spoiling it. There's a lot of dangerous ground ball and a lot of free kicks being paid.
This is McDermott, who backs himself, and I guess it is kickable distance on a normal day. That ball, 20 minutes with the rain, would be a bit brick-like by now. Certainly, no, he's kicked it just wide to the right. So, by my reckoning, in this quarter, Sacred Heart have kicked 2 goals, 6. Brighton have kicked it behind. And to be honest, they haven't had that many inside 50s to start off with. What did you have?
Three inside 50s for the quarter.
Yeah.
They've gone long on this occasion away from K-Lotto, which is a good play.
Oh, nicely intercepted. Here come the Bombers. It's a race for pace now. The kick was by Dixon. Great one-on-one footy battle. And a wonderful second effort by Justin Evans.
So that was good play by Brighton. Went long on the kick out, nearly got the ball to the wing, which they've had to do in the last few exits, in my opinion. They've adjusted to the conditions here. Again, ground ball inside 50, hard to defend. The free kick's there, it's a little tap over the shoulder. Brighton need a settler here, and they can hang in this game if he can kick it.
Well, right behind it, you're filming Footy Crew. Goes left, goes right, wanting it to swing left, and it just went straight as an arrow. And that's a second behind for the Bombers this quarter. They go to 5-3-33. Sacred Heart 7-8-50. 17-point margin.
Desperately need to lock the ball in here and try and get a few repeat entries. Brighton, just put some pressure back on Sacred Heart.
22.5 minutes in a 2-goal quarter. So not anything a lot of time left. Maybe 3 minutes or so. Brian's forward 50 lands right down the throat of Cooper Brinkworth, who'll be quite happy. Yeah, if you're Sacred Heart at this point of the quarter, you'd probably be happy to maintain a bit of possession. Take this momentum into the halftime break. Umpires found a free the way of Sacred Heart on the centre wing outer side. Short kick to Dewhurst. Works around his opponent Osborne towards the scoreboard flank. Brighton have some numbers, but that was beautifully done by Darcy Gluyas, who just interfered, got the ball. As soon as he got the ball, tapped it towards the boundary, created the neutral stoppage situation when the numbers weren't quite in his favour.
Just need to hang in here, Brighton. Defenders need to lock on the back shoulder, not let anything get out of the back. Carthy needs to insert himself around the ball again.
23.5 minutes gone of the second quarter. It has belonged to Sacred Heart. Carlotto, well, wasn't that long ago he would have given away holding the ball free for that, taking out the contest and getting touched, but wasn't a big fan of that rule. I couldn't see why Ruckman had to abide by certain holding the ball rules and others didn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. One of the quirks in our game.
Oh, it is a very quirky game.
Brighton need to be careful with the tackling here on the ground ball. Sometimes you've just got to slow your steps, not come in like a bull at a gate when they know the umpires are looking to pay a free. And
that's what Sacred Heart will be playing for too, I'm pretty sure, as they get it through some numbers. Kick around the body by Harrison Morgan. Is that a clunk?
Yeah, he paid a push.
Paid a push, okay. Brighton ball. And they're going to take any chances. They're going to keep it as close to this boundary line as possible. Got some numbers here to force a contest, and they'll get the clearance. Suddenly, this is the most forward player in the whole team. That was Justin Evans. If he got it, I got no idea what he was going to do with the ball. That'll be another stoppage. So 25 minutes gone. 2 goals to zip.
Won't be a long quarter, will it, Phil? So if Brighton can just sneak a goal, they stay in the game, I reckon. And Sean tapped before on Evans. First decent spoil I've seen today.
I mean, 2 behinds, that's as good as really as pitching a shutout for the quarter. So what do we have? We had 10 goals in the first quarter, 2 in the second. And we always thought it would.
I thought this would happen, though.
Yeah.
I know the conditions
and
played
the rain,
a part.
the rain shower obviously assisted as well. And it's really being left up to the umpires to give the clear possession with the free kicks now.
Brighton don't need to get involved in any argy-bargy here. I'd be running back behind. Another yellow card. Is that correct? I swear the umpires have pulled out another yellow card there.
There's another player coming off.
Is it Tate? It's not all that clear with those yellow cards, is it? I think it feel like if it is a yellow card, you just need to stop the game for 30 seconds.
But it's not a blood rule because you would stop the game.
Yeah.
So you said there'd be a few, and we've had 3.
Yeah, my pre-match has been pretty good so
Your
far.
pre-match
Phil,
analysis has been spot on.
Again, Brighton just need to hold on here. Can't concede another goal before half-time and try, if they can, to get one the other way. They've been outplayed in this quarter. It's been a scrappy quarter of football.
Right, free or a rethrow? Rethrow. Carlotto's got in ruck too. Been there for a while, I think. And that is your half-time siren. The quarter going 26 minutes and 45 seconds. A good one for the visitors. Sacred Heart Old Collegians have a perfect record on the road so far this season, and they'll take a 17-point lead into the main break. They're 7-8-50. Brighton a 5-3-33. We will take a break for a reasonable duration. We'll come back with some stats, some goal scorers. We'll get scores from around the rest of the Adelaide Footy League Division 1. And we'll dry out our desk as well. Hope you're enjoying the Battle of Brighton Road, the Brighton Bombers, Sacred Heart Old Collegians. Thanks to Filming Footy, this is the Adelaide Footy League.
Nine News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on, or a message from the club, whether it be like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support.
And welcome back. Blue sky abounds above Brighton Oval. It's been that kind of week. Showers just rolling in from time to time. Hopefully that's the last of the rain, maybe, for the rest of the game. Interesting contest so far. Sacred Heart Old Collegians leading this one 7-8-50. Brighton Bombers 5-3-33 on the Sportal scoreboard. Not too far away from a start, Adam Jeffries. Any thoughts now that we had a chance to digest that first half?
Yeah, despite 25 inside 50s to 14 in the first half, Brighton are still in this contest. They're only a couple of contests in their front half away, but the game's had a very familiar feel to it. It's just a field position, get the ball inside 50, a lot of free kicks paid for shots on goal. Brighton just need to get the ball at their end more often. Pretty simple.
Well, the Bombers were held goalless going with what there was of this breeze in the second quarter. Sacred Heart Old Collegians get it, and there's an introduction to the turf of the cricket club for McRae. He's still battling for the ball, mind you, as was Gladresco. Umpire saying, oh, look, you sort it out. And it's McRae who eventually gets the soccer kick. He is covered from head to toe in mud now. His teammates won't give him the ball. They won't know what side he's on. Meanwhile, Henry McAuliffe, the ex-Bulldog from Plimpton, has dobbed his first for the day, and a pretty big first goal for mine, Adam Jeffries. Margin game high, 23 points. Suddenly it's a long road back for the Bombers.
Yeah, not what Brighton wanted. Similar to the game started, wasn't it? Centre clearance and goal. It's happened again in the third quarter. Conditions, the Oval's in pretty good condition, to be honest, bar that patch in the middle, sun coming out again, probably a fresh football being used, so early goals will be critical. But not what Brighton wanted. But again, it's just a ground ball inside 50 and the defenders not being able to deal with it. It's been a theme throughout the match thus far.
So I'll give you some, scores start of the third quarter. Other games, Prince Alfred were leading Old Ignatian 74-7. That's 67-point lead. As the Rucks go to it here. Again going down, getting the ball, ground level. It's always an interesting one now with the knee rule, or below the knee rule, about going down low and getting it. But he's at it again. This is Gladresco. He's having himself a fun old day in the bog pit. While they have that, the other results at the moment, third quarter, St. Peter's Old Collegians leading Goodwood Saints 46-21, 4-goal lead there. Port District have held Tea Gully to 1 goal, 4-10. Port District to 34, so a 4-goal lead in a low-scoring encounter at Pertaringa. And Glenunga leading Broadview by 3 goals, 47-29. So the Tigers are giving Glenunga a bit of a fight there at Webb Oval. I think we've got the close one, though. Well, we've got one of the close ones anyway. Holding the ball is the call. Chance for Sacred Heart to go forward. This will be Elijah Lobe. Made his debut back in 2021. Played at reserves all of last year and this year until today.
Again, the high ball coming in, the defender's unable to just lock onto a back shoulder and just smash the ball forward. Yeah, it's been a real theme, something for Brighton to work on.
If anyone doesn't spoil, they might get an award from you today.
Yeah, well, I know the players are aware of the awards, Phil, so we haven't had some tremendous spoils yet, so lay one, we'll give you one.
Back to the front of the pack. Touchdown. Over the boundary line. Blake Higgins, the ball carrier for that occasion. Harry Morgan, the tackler in the orange boots.
Nigel Osborne just getting some running repairs there. Bit of blood and mud on the hands, I think.
Yeah, directing some traffic now. Brighton would not want to concede the next one.
Ooh. See, for mine, that's almost a worse tackle than some of the ones that were paid in the first half. Not sure your opinion on that, Phil. They were a bit soft, whereas that one was that was a drive of the head into the ground, I thought. So interesting. It's not easy to umpire, though. We're not having a dig at the umpires. It's tricky to umpire.
Yeah, Osborne recovers pretty well, though. Kicks around the body. And that was sort of a half attempted spoil. We're getting there. Bit of Socceroo. That was well done, but no, picked up all Kerrish. Taken front on. Not sure he had the football when he did that by Chalmers. Spills to Sean Tapp. Turnover. Here's a chance for Bright. Okay. 2-on-1 Bombers if they can work it together. Wellesby is the one free. Here comes some cavalry for Sacred Heart. I reckon that was a bit Crude side with the tackle attempt. Wellesby's going to have it.
Dare we say it, Phil, a ground ball inside 50, free
Yes.
kick.
Yes. Where's the recording on that? Just play it again, Sam.
Don't even need us at the ground, Phil. Just put
No,
that on
oh,
repeat
yeah.
today.
AI's taken over, mate. Thomas Wellesby will kick from 45. It's going to sit up and fall to the right-hand side. So Brighton have kicked, well, 3 behinds in a row, have not goaled since the first quarter. We're 5 minutes into the third. Wellesby comes in, that's all fine. Forces the turnover. That's about the 4th time Wellesby has created a turnover in Brighton's forward 50, and it's usually led to a goal eventually.
I was just about to say, Wellesby's defensive actions for a forward are probably some of the best in the competition, aren't they? He's created many chances for his team today with when he doesn't have the ball in his hands.
Through some hands at the pack, out of bounds. Most of that crew that have gathered there have emerged from their cars after the rain shower. You can see a various range of bottles and beverages, a couple of cups of coffee, some things a little bit stronger. Noble's kick forward. Here's a chance for Sacred Heart. This is Cameron Rankin. One-on-one battle inside forward 50. The ball just, they ran forward waiting for the ball to bounce to them and just stopped. Had to go back to it. Someone's been legged.
I think that's called a 9-iron, Phil.
Yes.
That ball certainly looks
not,
good from up here,
not,
but it
not
must
my
be
9-irons, I can tell you.
must be a little bit soft out there because that ball just stopped once it hit.
Yeah, and look, it is bits that I walked to get here earlier today were a little soft underfoot. Another free inside 50. All signs that this is in the goal kicker's range here. Cross the road, yeah, the distance, no problem.
It's interesting to see what Brighton do here on the kick out. They had a bit of trouble clearing the ball from the many kick-outs they've had with Sacred Heart's inaccuracy, but they're just going to come long to this side, try and avoid Carlotto, which they've done.
Not sure Sacred Heart really had anybody around on the mark. There's the ruckman that went down Noble. Umpire didn't see it. Now is McDermott. There's going to be a collision here. I just felt like Sacred Heart were playing for a couple of frees there. Umpire wasn't in the giving mood now. Sock it over towards the goal, the scoreboard pocket. Sacred Heart ball. Is dark here.
Yeah, not having turned the lights on either, Phil, which I'm surprised. There's a risky switch ball.
Yeah, it is today. McDermott, though, held his ground well. Oh, the hand pass with Kerrish. Kerrish had no option but to soccer it. They still haven't cleared it. Now Brighton have got a touch on it. They've been tackled straight away. But say that couldn't have been pro opportunity there as we have a look here at just some ricochet ball.
It's easy in the commentary box, isn't it? But you
it's
kind of
always
got to look at putting away that over possession in the back 50 probably this week.
Well, I guess the question is, was it to any particular advantage? And it probably wasn't.
If you've got a free player that can play on, it's worth taking. If the player you're switching the ball to has to go back behind the mark, I'd be putting it away today.
Oh! Wellesby's upended in the midst of trying to kick the ball. Carlotto with a fly. Up high. Osborne. No, that ruggedy look anywhere. Top of the square. Try to 1-2-3 juggle. Not pay. Wellesby's trying to pick himself off the ground with the ball and a Sacred Heart player on his back.
This is good by Brighton though, the 3 repeat entries here. Just starting to put some pressure back, but they need a score. If they can kick the next goal, it's still game on here.
22 points the margin on the Sportal scoreboard. What's turned now into a low-scoring affair. 10 goals in the first quarter, just 3 goals since, all to Sacred Heart. Hot 40 metres out, Osborne with a crunching tackle. Oh, I tell you what, the ice baths are going to be popular at game's end despite the temperature. Of course, the Moseley Bar and Kitchen, the Best Team Man Award, Plenty of 1%ers out here so far, but will there be a spoil? Is the big question today. Illingworth's kick. I think that's a good mark. Now Sacred Heart trying to open it up on the scoreboard side. Needs a mark and has got it. This is Morgan. Now they're away, and they are really away. Some open space. There is not a Hearts player inside the forward 50 though. He's got to wait for Kakura to get back. He's got to beat 2 Brighton Bombers players, and that was too much to ask, especially as the kick was a little wayward. Now it's the Bombers right down the guts on the rebound. Carly 2-on-1 Brighton. Can they work out a mark here or a kick or a free kick? They'll take the free. Willsby plays on. Umpire says no, not now.
Good play there by Brighton. Under the pump in the D50, but hit some targets on the way out, and were able to go coast to coast really quickly, and I think it was paid for going back to spoil without eyes on the footy. So again there, good umpiring. Brighton desperately need a straight kick here though, Phil.
Hudson Laycock, who was a late inclusion.
This boy can kick a ball. I'll put the Mozzer on him, but he is a very good kick.
Glad you know something, because I got nothing.
Sorry.
Oh, no, he's missed.
Sorry about that, Phil.
So 5 goals, 6. That's 4 behinds in succession. Actually, I reckon Brighton were 5-0. I reckon they were 5-0 when they kicked their 5th.
Yes, I think you're right.
6 straight behinds. They're still in it.
Yeah, they're in there doing well in this quarter so far. Just need the next goal. Fresh player off the bench inside 50 here.
Yep.
Great smother.
Suddenly Sacred Heart, if they can get it forward, have got half a chance. And they've almost got possession. Now here we go. 1-on-1 contest. What forwards always love. Play stop though.
Not sure who the player was, but that was a tremendous smother on the kick. The Sacred Heart had made an interchange and he bolted forward. You maybe couldn't see if you were tracking the ball, and he was inside 50 in an acre of space, but the smothered ball didn't allow it to get to him.
Didn't allow it to get there. Yes, those interchange players can sneak on without being picked up, especially if you're playing more of a zonal type of defence. O'Loughlin Johncock chose to hit the hot spot. Lots of players. Sacred Heart, some good numbers at the front. Quick rebound. Kick into space. Nothing but black and gold. It's going to bounce out of ball. Can't even claim the distance. Last disposal rule.
So Brighton well on top here. 6 forward 50 entries this quarter, but haven't been able to find the goal. But just need to keep going. Like I said, it's a low-scoring game. If you can kick 2 or 3 quick goals, it's going to be game on.
Bit of a fumble by Bastian. Noble comes in and makes sure that he can't recover. Soccer play inside 50 by Morgan. Gets it to himself, goes the banana kick. That's possibly the play of the day.
Yeah, it's a big play for Brighton because they were away on the switch ball. They'd had all the pressure. And
he did get a pretty good bounce off of Plenty though.
Yeah, unlucky perhaps for Plenty, but they had the switch of play, Brighton. They had players out on their own. We mentioned about the switches not going to contested players. They were out. There was a fumble. It's a wet football. It allowed Sacred Heart to come in. And yeah, that's a huge goal because, like I said, Brighton had 5 or 6 forward 50 entries in a row, kicked in accurately, and now it's potentially going to be a long way back.
I've got it 7 unanswered goals. It's a long way back. It's at least 6 unanswered goals, and a long time since Brighton kicked its 5th, which would have been late-ish. Well, it was after the siren.
At quarter time.
At quarter time by Wellesby.
Note, since the rain has come, Carlotta's played more on the football rather than stay in the goal square. Well, you're not going to get a lot of clean ball today, so I think once again that's a smart move. If it's clean football coming in, he's dangerous at the top of the goal square. Not today, so use his experience around the ball.
I think it's Jed Farquhar who's going up against him in ruck now. Carlotta with the tap, to whose advantage? Here's the question. Another half smother. Good ricochet to Ladaresco. Umpire's found a free. Will go the way of Sacred Heart. This is Elijah Lobe. Charging forward. Spills to the back. McGarry had it, lost it. Now Sacred Heart's forwards turns to tackle like demons. Create the turnover momentarily. Spills towards the lacrosse club pocket. One of the rare days that I've come down here to call a footy game, Adam, and there's no lacrosse action today.
Used to be always good for pre-match warm-ups when the lacrosse weren't there for the players.
There's certainly rugby behind us. Multi-sports complex.
It's a beautiful complex here now, isn't it?
Oh, it's glorious. Probably explain why the car parking was a bit easier today. So Sacred Heart eventually work it around the back. Now kick it forward into that pocket. I don't think anybody touched it. Well, there might have been a free kick given away. Either way, it's going to be Brighton ball. 15 minutes gone. Slowly but surely.
I don't think they'll look to switch the football here as much as they'd love to. I think they've just got to get down the line to their tall forwards, get some representation.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that's where Brighton had the loose player, but Sacred Heart had it covered. So I think so Sacred Heart might have a extra number around the ball. Yeah, beginning to hope they do put those lights on a bit later. I don't think there's a game on afterwards. Sometimes you do see the women's footy played a 4:45 game. Actually, I might stand corrected there.
Yeah, I think there might be a match.
I think there is.
And the ladies were involved in the pre-match smoking ceremony, so I think there might be a match.
Goody Saints player. One after this. So there's a game after. Okay, look, well, they're going to have to turn the lights on for that, so why not get in there early?
Might need a yellow football for that, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. Carlotto bursts through the pack. Hand passes in hope. Umpire comes in and says over the shoulder. That has been the free of the day. It will be Brighton ball. Just sort of feel like, Adam, we're waiting for Sacred Heart to put the final blow to this one.
Yeah, Brighton are just hanging in there, aren't they? Like I said, they just needed to score from those early entries. They just need to hold firm here, because if Sacred Heart do get the next one, they will have their tails up in the local derby.
But something that Sacred Heart have done very well, especially since quarter time, is when it's been down there into the ground, they've bowled it up beautifully until eventually they get rewarded.
Yeah, I think this is where Brighton have missed Jarman Siegel today. He's not just a great defender for them, but he's a great outlet kick on the exits for them as well. He's a fantastic mark, and he helps them transition the ball from D50 to their front half a lot. So he's been a big loss for Brighton today.
Ben Tate, one of 3 yellow cards we've seen in this game. 1 Sacred Heart, 2 Brighton, is back into the action. Besides the yellow card, besides the 10-minute break, so does the yellow card come with any further consequences?
No, the main consequence is if you get a second one, you're red, and then you miss a game and you're out for the game, I think. So the yellow card initially doesn't seem like a big penalty, but a bit like in soccer, if you get the second, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
so
well,
you've got to watch yourself after you've got one.
It creates an unexpected changeover, which can cause issues. And the other thing is that it does calm the farm a bit.
Yeah. I think the umpiring's been great. It's been consistent. Yes, there has been a lot of free kicks paid inside 50, but they've been consistent, and you know what's going to come. Brighton have had their fair share. They just unfortunately haven't had the volume of inside 50s the Sacred Heart have to take advantage.
It's about as far forward as a stoppage has been in the last 3 or 4 minutes. We're not about to tick over 18 minutes. Again, a low-scoring quarter, just a couple of goals to Sacred Heart Old Collegians. Enjoying their first Division 1 season since 2015, and I think they've already won. I think if they win here, they win as many games as they won in that season. We're up and down pretty quickly, as sometimes happens with promotion relegation. All right, around the back of the ball, here's a kick into space. Okay, bounce is going to be critical. Actually, a reasonably true bounce. Sits up, little dainty kick for Chalmers. Here comes Tate. Here's the initial runner in Murphy. Well done by Brighton to work that forward. Now can they convert something up forward? Picking it up is Francis. He's got a goal. He's depossessed of the football. Ends up with Kerrish.
Had a bit of the football today, Kerrish, haven't we? We've noticed him with his long sleeves.
Well, that's it. Once I worked out who the long sleeve player was, yeah, you can't miss him. A little bit of byplay by the interchange game. Brighton have got it. They'll swing it across through the cricket pitch. Osborne.
They're on here.
Looks so comfortable there. Yeah, they've got it. This is their best chance going forward. They've got a loose player. There he is. In Francis takes the mark. That's probably the best forward foray we've seen from the Bombers.
Jack Plenty's kick off half-back set that up rather than just sort of hack kick it forward. He just took half a step, found Nigel Osborne in the centre of the ground, and once the fat side's open, normally if you've got composed play, you'll find a shot on goal. This is a tricky shot, though, with a heavy ball, but Brighton desperately need a goal because they can still hang about. They just need to find a goal.
Well, in theory, they're coming home with the breeze. Not that it's worth a lot so far.
That's a goal.
He's found the distance. And for the first time since the quarter-time break, the Bombers are on the board. Francis, the first multiple goal scorer for Brighton. He has 2 in his second game.
We had felt like 20 stoppages in a row, didn't we? It felt like a game of rugby. And then, like I said, that play from Plenty, first clean piece of play we've probably seen in 10 minutes. He had the ball on his own, but great composure. It's easier said than done. It's easy up here. But when you're out there in the helter-skelter, to take that time, little dinky 30-metre kick to Nigel Osborne, who was in the middle of the ground on his own. I think it was O'Loughlin was on the fat side of the ground, all on his own. But a really good shot for goal. That was a critical part of it. Brighton haven't been able to kick accurately, but no, sneaky chance here. Centre bounce and an inside 50 needed by Brighton to really put some pressure on.
It'll wake the locals up a little bit. 21 points is the margin. In this kind of conditions, it's a pretty healthy buffer. Interesting spinning top kind of kick. Stoppage just inside Sacred Heart's forward 50.
That goal has woken up the locals, Phil.
Yes.
That's what we wanted.
Plenty on the balcony, just looking to our left, glory be. Chockers. Around the McRae. Another kick around the body. Cassera just waited for the ball to come to him on that occasion. Here's a good tackle. Turnover. McRae trying to find a slot. Ball's touched, and it will be a stoppage. McRae's gone to ground. Doug Proud comes in to fly the flag momentarily.
There we go. Well done, Brighton. First in. A few of the Brighton locals were a bit disappointed with the free kick count, but they've been consistent. It's just been at Sacred Heart ends more, but that's a good decision.
And I'm never really going to be that upset about free kicks going to the player who's worked hard to actually get possession of the ball.
Brighton need to get a tall forward out here. That's a risky ball, but it's paid off. They need to get a tall forward. Crum on the wing here. Relieve the pressure. Kaylotta right in the hole.
McRae got a hand up.
It's been good, McRae, against his old team. It's not easy playing against your old club ever. Not sure whether we would have been looking forward to it or not, but he's been solid. He's kept his eyes on the footy. He's a courageous player.
Yep. And boy, oh boy, is he going to need a shower by day's end, and he's reacquainting himself with some teammates possibly there. That was Francis who waited for the ball and is now being tackled on all sides. Oh, that was Osborne, sorry, who else?
No spare players, one-on-one all over the field at the moment.
Exactly what you want. Good tap down, Gladresco inside 50. Bounce is going to be critical. Ricochets off a few bodies. Still half a chance to snap around the body. Just missed by Clayton Simons.
Got the line out here, so I think you're going to see a line of Brighton players down the guts. I might have a blood rule here, which will give Sacred Heart time to get a zone in place.
Yep, blood rule indeed.
So when we say a line out, what Brighton will do is they'll get all of their players in a straight line down the middle of the ground, and on occasion they will kick the ball down the middle of the ground, or they'll try and set up a bit of a dummy to try and get one of their tall forwards on his own on one side in a one-on-one. So it'll be interesting to see. They might not be able to do that now with the blood rule that's happened. Well, no, they've really gone to the far side. That was a set play.
That was. Everybody ran to the right, which freed up some room on the left. Turnover anyway.
I think the blood rule helped Sacred Heart there. They weren't ready, but it slowed it down and they were able to get their positions.
Yeah. Sticking a mid onto it was McGarry. Still battling for it by the boundary. Rolls over. Jack Plenty was the last to touch it, but it was not a disposal. So I often have to explain to people what this rule is. It's not the last touch, it's the last disposal.
Yes.
It needs to be a proper kick or hand pass, nothing fumbly.
We just heard the call, 3 minutes to go. So big 3 minutes for Brighton. Find a goal, not concede one, and it's still going to be a tricky last quarter for Sacred
Long
Heart.
quarter given we've had 2 goals kicked.
Yeah.
Or 3, sorry. Brighton, you have finally got on the board with one.
They're holding firm here, Brighton, aren't they? They just need to break away from this stoppage.
I mean, the way that goals were being scored early, you'd say they've got half a chance. And they're going to get the ball now.
And
Let's see
away.
what they do with it now. They've got a bit of space. Lachlan Johncock, hand pass to Francis, just missed the target when he needed it to be in front of him, but ended up behind. He's tackled and will have a stoppage pretty close to the centre of the Brighton Oval.
It's easy in the commentary box, Phil, but Lachlan had to kick that ball inside 50
or
and
at
just
least
give
put
his
it in front
forwards.
of Francis
There was
to
3
run onto.
one-on-ones ahead of him. Just see what happens.
Okay, now he can run onto this one. Kerrish did well, working 1-2 with Ethan Moore. Back to Kerrish. Breaks loose at the edge of the centre square. One-on-one contest inside forward 50.
It's better spoil.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good back there, plenty under the pump. Good spoil there. Good kicker of the ball.
So we've had 10 goals at quarter time, 12 goals at half time, and now we've got 15 goals at 3/4 time. Well,
And
not
we've got
far
a
from-
yellow card again, I
Oh my
believe, Phil.
goodness. A little bit of rain back as well.
Not sure which way it's going, to be brutally honest. Looks like Sacred Heart are having a shot on goal.
Yeah, well, Brighton players coming off.
Again, not a lot in it, but just not what Brighton needed. They were out and could have had an inside 50 on the previous exit, and now they've given away a shot on goal. Again,
Well, I think the big thing is that the yellow card doesn't have any meterage penalty, because that would have made a big difference if it did. Sainty, the player.
probably not the player they need off the ground, Brighton, either at the
No.
moment. He's been one of their better defenders.
Meanwhile, the kick from McAuliffe is wayward, so not particularly great football. We have got a gorgeous rainbow, though. It's actually...
Not sure if the camera can pan up to that. That's a ripper, isn't that?
It is. You can actually see where it lands on both edges. Looking for the pot of gold.
Dodged a bullet there, Brighton. Can they rebound and score a goal before three-quarter time?
Backwell admiring the rainbow as well. All right, here they go. They got it. This is what they should have done earlier, you said. Adam was go forward, and there's Wellesby, who's beat two. Got some runners. Or saw some runners. There's one. Oh, Kerrish did very well. Just when you thought Brighton was setting up to run onto an open goal, he just appeared out of nowhere.
Liked Wellesby's game, but he just needed to play with a little bit more composure then once he took the mark. He's almost within range, or wait for a little tick lead to come back at him, but he played on into traffic. And now the ball's on the rebound.
Very quickly down the guts too. Umpire says my ball.
I think the game needed a Brighton goal there, didn't they? I think it would have really been an exciting last quarter if Brighton could have just scored from those last couple of forays.
For the good of the game, which is
Yeah.
a term that always annoys me when I hear the AFL use it.
We're impartial. We want to see a good game,
We
don't
just
we?
want to see a
Sacred
good
Heart don't
contact, a
care.
good match, yes. Oh, it's a hot footy at the defensive 50. Brighton with some soccer. Oh, hanging on, no. And Sacred Heart would be, I'd say, reasonably happy that that siren has gone at that point, and they will take a 23-point lead into the final stanza. On the Sportal scoreboard, it is Sacred Heart Old Collegians, 9 goals, 11. They kicked 2 goals, 2 that quarter. Brighton are 6 goals, 6. They kicked 1 goal, 3. Similar scoring shots, a bit more accurate. 23-point lead to Sacred Heart Old Collegians. You're with Adam Jeffries, Phil Hurd, and the Filming Footy crew. We'll take a break, and we'll give you some thoughts on the match. I'll get some scores around the grounds, and we'll bring you the final quarter from Brighton. Thanks to Filming Footy.
News teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on, or a message from the club, whether it be like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support.
Welcome back. Huddle time, or lemon time, as you have a look around the grounds. And a lot of other games are, we're going to be finishing a bit late here. 10 minutes into the final quarter at St Peter's. And Spock lead Goodwood by 20 points, which is a handy lead.
Not over yet, Phil.
Got to send a cheerio. Whilst we're here in the cold and the rain, one of our main men of the filming footy crew, Tony Neal, is doing it tough. So we've got to send a...
In Bali.
In Bali. G'day, Tony.
He'll be in a singlet and footy shorts.
But he's watching. So, yeah, mate, all good people deserve a break, and you deserve yours. So enjoy the charms of Bali. TJ, of course, not with us today. He's up at calling a game. Indigenous roundup at Salisbury North. Adam Jeffries filling in wonderfully. Adam, thoughts on the first quarter? I guess the fundamental question is 23 points enough for Sacred Heart? To me, it feels like it is. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Brighton, they just needed one more goal that quarter. It's probably their best quarter for the game. They were right in it, had some more inside 50 entries, some inaccurate shots on goal, and some missed opportunities, some just lacking some composure with ball movement at half forward. Do I think Brighton can win the game? Probably not. They've kicked 1 goal in 2 quarters. They'll need to kick 5 goals, probably, knowing Sacred Heart we might score at least 1. But yeah, it's close enough. 23 points in football can be done. You know, you only need a goal early, centre bounce, another goal, and it'll be game on. Yeah, Brighton, like I said, he hasn't got a lot of weapons, Mouse. Like when he looks at his board and he's 23 points down, what does he do? He hasn't got the weapons to say, you know what, I'll throw him here and I'll move him there. There's not a lot of magnets he can move. He just needs his players to keep at it and execute. Sacred Heart, on the other hand, with the coach, the big fella, he'll plonk himself behind the ball late to make sure that if Brighton do get a bit of a run on, that they can slow it down. And luckily, my man Karkura kicked those early goals because he has not been sighted since, has he?
Yeah, you can say 4 or more. So I do have some scores around the other grounds. I'll start with the good games first. Actually, hang up. Glenunga lead Brighton, sorry, not Brighton, Broadview, 95 to 42. So they've broken that one open, 53-point lead. St Peter's over Goody Saints by 20. Port District over Teacher Gully by 21. And I'll bring you the last score in just a tick at the next stoppage, because first goal is going to be critical. Sacred Heart go backwards to go forwards. We're back in the middle. Lovely tackle. Local's not impressed, and now there's a push in the back. We'll go the way of Brighton. Prince Alfred scored 10 goals in the third quarter. Old Ignatian scored 3 points. It's a 127-point lead to Prince Alfred early stages of the final quarter. So what does that mean? I guess it means that Prince Alfred and Glenunga, if they get those wins, Glenunga will be undefeated. Prince Alfred second. Teacher Gully losing. Might see Sacred Heart jump into third on percentage. And of course they've got to get past Brighton here, and this has still got another 20-25 minutes to go. We'll get a clearance here. 2-on-1 contest though, the kick by McAuliffe. Only as far as the Brighton defender. Suddenly most of the ground in sunshine. The hills have disappeared with the rain we had earlier. The kick to some big Glenunga players, although battling hard to get it was Farquhar to create a jump ball situation almost there. It'll be the Aussie rules version, which is a stoppage, ball up.
They need Evans to come out and start clunking a couple of those marks. He did it last week against Port Districts, but he hasn't been able to do it today. He's been hitting the ball hard. That hasn't been the problem. He just hasn't had those sticky fingers like he had last week to clunk a couple to get Brighton back into this game.
Bo McRae laying a tackle. Clearance to Ethan Moore. At ground level is Rankin. Had it, lost it. It hasn't been a game of any. No team's had any more than 2 possessions in a row here.
One thing I will say about the Brighton full forward, Evans, is he has managed to keep Tapp away from intercepting the ball a lot today, so that might have been a role he's had. Sean Tapp's normally a very good interceptor.
Spiel to Gladeresco's found a target inside 50.
Is that my man?
Well, he said he was quiet. You lodged the complaint. He said, okay, I'll bob up. I reckon if he kicks this, it's ball game. Because he was the buddy bet. Coach you to get on board. Gamble responsibly at all times. Has 3 for the day. Beautiful. That's one of the best kicks of the day too. And Tristan Carsura, who Adam Jeffries correctly identified that with McCarthy out would be the main target, has 4 for the afternoon.
Probably only had the 4 kicks, Karkuro, but
yeah.
that was 45. Must be a dry football after the break, because he absolutely slaughtered that over the fence. That was a magnificent kick. Just laid back and kicked truly. Yeah, Brighton almost playing for a bit of pride now against their local rival. They want to stick at it. They want to stick at it. They don't want to get blown away here. Sacred Heart would love to put the foot on the throat. It's hard when you're a player, when you probably know that the game is gone and your efforts can drop. They can't allow that to happen, Brighton. Just keep cracking in, find some inside 50 ball.
Back in the middle. Next week, Brighton doesn't get any easier. They go to Park 9, take on Prince Alfred. Sacred Heart host Tea Tree Gully. That'll be one of the big games of the round. 2 top 4 teams, I pretty much think. 3rd versus 4th most likely. Kick inside 50. There's a good mark taken by Chris Broadbent. Any mark is a good mark in these conditions, especially once the ball gets a bit muddy and wet. The kick didn't quite match the mark, unfortunately, and hanging on. A timely free for Brighton, because Sacred Heart were off and running. Farquhar hands it off. And here's a man who's got a bit of skill. Harry Morgan with a good stretch and grab. Carlotto under around the ball. Here's a chance now for shot going into the pocket. Who's there? I can see a lot of black, but Lucks of fortune for Brighton. They got a Barry Crocker over bounce. And I think it was Cameron Rankin who just slipped over at the inconvenient moment before he could swallow up a reasonably easy goal. But here comes Sacred Heart again. Cooper Brinkworth's kick inside 50. At a target he couldn't mark. 45 out. Quick hands. Shot on goal, and Carlotto the target. Pretty good target to aim for, through for a behind.
It's been well held since the first quarter, Carlotto, hasn't he? He hasn't been able to take the big contested marks, albeit the conditions haven't suited the big man today for his aerial prowess.
Never going to be a big man's day today, I reckon.
No.
Margin out to a flat 5 goals, or in this case 4 goals 6. Is that a spoil that I saw there?
I believe that was a big spoil from behind. Like I said, not being critical in the commentary box, but it was certainly an area that stood out early in the game, was the defender's inability to just put a big spoil on. Created havoc behind the ball, dangerous balls inside 50. Might have to identify who that was, and prizes there in the last quarter. Bit of junk time. Players are aware of these prizes, Phil, so don't think they're not.
Well, we got the fun job of doing what Tommy Javor and Beck Northcott do and rounding up the players at the end, because we've got a New Balance $100 voucher that comes with the iconic Dartfish beanie. Of course, I don't think Sacred Heart have ever played a game to go up for the Dartfish beanie before. We've got the Neomouth mouthguards for the play of the day, and Moseley Bar and Kitchen voucher.
can you picture the players wearing the beanie down to the nightclubs on the Saturday night? And
I can imagine.
Girls would be hovering around
Not
that
sure
beanie, wouldn't they,
on
Phil?
the nightclub scene, but certainly I can imagine in the club rooms. I'm not sure if it's ready for public exposure, the beanie, but certainly within the scope of the various footy clubs. As I said, it is iconic.
Sacred Heart looking to slow the game down now. They've got a spare behind the football just to make sure nothing silly happens and Brighton get a quick run on.
Yes, I have a feeling that this game is going to go to a fairly slow end. But hey, here come the Bombers. Jared Miller kicks around. Wellesby's direction. One-on-one race for the footy here. That was brilliantly done by Hamish Duncan, although good work undone with the turnover. Oh, Chalmers almost collected a spoil in the face there.
That was Hartshorn with the old-fashioned ear massage.
It wasn't intense. He was going for the ball, but then
the old
Chalmers' face got
try
in
and
the way.
spoil the ball and take the head with you.
Yeah.
Certainly accidental.
If it wasn't, you would have seen probably our 5th yellow card. Brighton have copped 3. Sacred Heart copped the first.
Been impressed with McRae's game. He's covered in mud,
Yeah.
playing against his old team. He's been in and under all day.
Yes, as we work out who to give our best player to. Maybe the player that's the muddiest.
Yeah, well, McRae would be in line, I reckon. And when he's had the ball in space, he's used his left peg beautifully on occasion.
Round the body. Oh, that's a grab.
Evans has got one.
Justin Evans, who kicked 3 goals last week. I've got him goalless today. And I've missed a couple of Sacred Heart goals during the rain deluge.
Played a great game last week, Evans, at full forward. Like I said, he's on Tap, who's a magnificent intercept defender, so I think he's done a good job of keeping Tap out of the game, but now they need him to bob up and kick this goal.
Ooh. Behind post cops a bit of work. In the end, has that scored anything? Yeah, 1 behind.
They won't take any risks here, Sacred Heart. They'll just go long to numbers, try and slow the game down.
Yeah. Although, Brighton have some numbers. That's a worm burner of a kick for Wellesby to deal with. Had it lost it. All right, now they're trying to work it around the back of the pack. Oh, no, there's a good smother. Who collected that?
Was that McRae?
It was.
He wants some prizes, McRae, I
Yeah,
reckon.
I reckon.
He knows.
Good 1%er in the final quarter. Always considered well by the judges.
It's good effort, though. When the game's not in the balance anymore, to still dive across the boot like that is a fantastic effort. It's normally something you do early in a grand final or something like that, isn't it? Not in junk time.
Well,
good hit.
they've just almost willed themselves. Finally, Brighton have got the goal. Now that
he missed.
He missed.
Wow.
How?
I thought he nonchalantly, everyone just stopped like he kicked it.
Justin Evans just refused to be tackled, and when Francis ran past, gave him the ball.
It was good play by Evans to hold on for the player to come through. I just thought he kicked it.
Yeah, same here. Oh, well.
Interesting that Sacred Heart opted to kick the ball up the middle of the ground there and not just play the safe boundary line game.
10 minutes in, they got a 5-goal buffer. Carlotto with the tap. Yeah, he's been doing most of the ruck work now in the second half. Over the shoulder. And Sacred Heart free. There's a hard-working player in Duncan, but I don't reckon they can get the ball that far to him. Well, they're going to try.
Oh, there might be a way here.
Yeah, now they're going to get it to him. Okay. Work rate rewarded. Kick towards Kerrish, who marks. Opponent loses the feet. Kerrish could have played on, decided to be composed about it. To the hot spot we go. Whoever dares to touch the ball is instantly tackled. Ball up right in the muddy bit at the top of the goal square. 7.5 gone. I think Sacred Heart have got this one. 28 points. Another goal would certainly seal her up. Osborne, long kick towards the pocket. Lewis could be first there, doesn't matter. Last disposal, he'll get the ball back. And Sacred Heart have got a couple of open players around their sort of the defensive ring. Now they got one. Carlotto leads. Just overcooked the kick a little bit. Brighton trying to clear it into space, but it's all white. They should work it out if they can keep their feet. Karish does. Oh, I do believe that was an attempt at a spoil. Wasn't an opponent, he could have marked it, but it was an attempt at a spoil.
Luckily, there's no Golden Fist Award with the Adelaide Footy. Every other award's in there, but there's no Golden Fist Award. There's a defensive.
Don't give anybody any ideas. Also, we might as well just have one for each player on the team and do it in the change rooms afterwards.
A participation award for everybody, you reckon, Phil?
Well, give everybody an award for something. Imagine how that would clog up the final quarter. Sacred Heart free. Doug Proud. Bit of aerial ping pong. Ball up.
Sting out of this game.
Yeah.
Now, Phil.
I mean, it's still rough, it's still very tough, and it's still going to be a bit of recovery work. This is what Adelaide Footy League plays on the Saturday for games like this to recover on the Sunday.
Credit to the players, though. There's not been, if we counted contested ball and uncontested ball today, there has not been many uncontested possessions in this match. It's been a dour struggle and a lot of ball ups. Players, both teams have cracked in all day.
Oh, holding the ball. Okay. Little stiff. Oh no, he got the ball. He took a step to the right. You got to with the nut bush. You got to put your step to the left first, I think, from memory.
Is that a Tina Turner reference?
It is a Tina Turner reference. Had to get one in there. Okay, right. Somehow got it through that pack. Now it's a battle at the forward end. Duncan's been pretty good defensively. The whole Sacred Heart defence has been stellar, especially after quarter time.
Yeah, great. They've only let one goal through since quarter time, haven't they?
Never mind Evans' game. He's picked up a few touches for a forward today. Just he's had to pick him a fair way up the ground. Now, Sacred Heart. Talk about Wellsby with the tackle. He got the kick away.
Wellsby.
Couldn't call it holding the ball as much as you like to because he actually got the kick away. Murphy's kick. Now it's a chance for the Bombers. Rare chance with some moving players. Spills out the back. This is where they were so dangerous. Certainly, gee, there's a big puddle 20 metres out. They've lobbed right in the middle of it. Will be a stoppage. Thought for a second it was going to be tapped on the back and someone was going to waltz into an open goal. There's a lot of people getting a touch.
Not a possession, a disposal, but a touch.
Just a touch. It's almost like the pass or hot potato.
A free kick has been paid.
It has. No one's really moving fast, so it indicates it's going to be a Brighton. Osborne's at the bottom of the pack.
You know what? This comes about again from Wellsby's chase. Sacred Heart are away, and we're going to go. Wellsby affected the kick, got the kick away, but it turned over and went back the other way. Hasn't had a great day in front of the sticks, has he? But his defensive actions have been really noticeable.
He would be. He'd be probably being chatted to after the game if Brighton got up, I think. But now it's Osborne, who's kicked his 4th goal of the season. And just the 2nd for Brighton since quarter time.
Deserve that, Brighton. I know sometimes, you look at the score and go, oh, defeat. They haven't played that badly. I thought just in the first half they got on top a fair bit with their field position, Sacred Heart, when the rain came in. But Brighton have been in and amongst. This is a typical Brighton performance. They bar the round one game this year. They never really get blown away. They're always in games. Like I said, Brighton don't have a lot of weapons and an experienced SANFL, AFL players that they can call upon to change games, and they need 21 players all contributing, which they've done. Just fallen a little bit short on this occasion.
into the last stage of this ball game. 16 minutes gone. Shouldn't be a lot of timeouts. Spills to Chalmers. He kicked the opening goal 45 seconds in. A lot of Brighton around this ball, but Spills, and Spills fortunately to Sacred Heart. That's to Noble. Ethan Moore collected it, tackled straight away. Umpire from a fair way away gave holding the ball. Until you got...
You think about it as an impartial observer, Phil, so there's been a lot of free kicks paid today, hasn't there? I think it's been fairly umpired. No team has gained more from it than the other. And it has been congested, so if they didn't pay the free kicks, the game would have been extremely congested again. So I don't mind it. I think it's been good.
We do have a final. Trying to do around the grounds because we're a late finisher. And we don't get the scores when they finish, they disappear. So I'll tell you what's happening around the Adelaide Footy League in just a tick as the shot on goal off hands. And another behind. It is over at Pertaringa Oval, and Port District have emerged victorious. They've led all day. They actually won 27 points, so that'll entrench Districts in the 5. They've now won 3 in a row. Prince Alfred, Bryson, Teachtree Gully. A couple of good scalps in there.
That makes last week's 1-point victory so much more important for Port Districts, doesn't it? You just get out of jail and then you win the big one the next week. So that gets their season well and truly going now.
St. Peter's, second win on the field in a row. This one, I hope, will count for points.
Oh, surely they did the right thing during the week this week, Phil.
You got the two clubs that needed some rule revisions late this week. And St. Peter's have beaten Goodwood 63-49. Glenunga were leading Broadview by 62 points, and it was Prince Alfred by 20 goals plus last time I checked. So pretty confident of those results. This one is probably at 22 points is now the close one, I think. 22 points momentarily, as I reckon that's Harry McAuliffe. He got the ball, dashed away. One of the few open goals we've seen today. Yeah, McAuliffe it is.
Good piece of play. Down the spine, like I said, there hasn't been a lot of uncontested easy ball today, has that? Like I said, and credit to both the players from both teams. You know, no one's taken a backward step today. Muddy football, bit of rain, two rivals going at it, so it hasn't been easy. But Sacred Heart have just done enough with their field position in the first half. Just kept that margin where they've wanted it. Junk time in the last quarter. Brighton really did press in that third quarter, just couldn't kick those 2 or 3 quick goals that would have really made a game on. Good goal there by McAuliffe.
All right.
Is that the son of the great race caller as well?
Terry, well,
I believe it is.
Terry Country down here at
yes,
the Bay.
It is. Great man, Terry McAuliffe.
Oh, he hosted at Bay Sheffield a couple of years, and I just sit in awe of his ability to call up at 120 races over 16 hours and nail each and every one of them.
It's like the local Bruce McAvaney, isn't he?
Well, he and Bruce is involved with the Bay Sheffield as well. Terry and Bruce know each other pretty well, so yeah, Bruce will often make an appearance at the Bay Chef breakfast. And of course, they have an athletics meet right here a couple of weeks beforehand as a bit of a warm-up. The kick around the body by Gladeresco. I'll give you a ladder in a sec based on all the results I've talked about coming to fruition when there's a break, because we're not going to have a lot of time. But probably what we have to do, Adam, is we have to make a choice as we head into time on.
I was waiting for my man Karkura to kick one more goal just to really rub in that buddy bet, Phil.
Oh, no, you won the buddy bet, fair and square. Even if I wanted to readjust pretty early in the piece. So fair to say, Brighton have had a lot of the ball in their half of the field and would really feel unrewarded, which is 2 goals after quarter time. Well,
broken even on the inside 50s in the second half, Brighton.
Yeah. High kick. Goal umpire
Great
says,
kick.
thank you very much.
No? That looked like a goal from here, Phil. Sorry.
Goal umpires, what do you do with them?
He stood in the middle of the goals and bent back and called a point.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. He did everything that indicates.
Yeah.
Because we've got no idea from our angle what
I
that
need to
is.
work on my commentary craft, I think, Phil, after
Oh,
that.
no,
Don't get fooled by that again.
No, I've been doing it for too long to learn new things, and that got me, and that will get me every time. All right, we need to make a choice. I'll get you to head down, and I'll bring the prizes and join you shortly. So we're short a few people today. You know, Tony off to Bali, TJ on assignment at Salisbury North. Beck's playing footy somewhere up in the hills. Good luck to Beck, looking at the hills at the moment. So you can take that if you want, if that helps you. Okay. Yeah, I would take the latter. But maybe that's my personal grudge. I'll see you down there as soon as the siren goes. All right, let's call the remainder of this one. I'm going to bring it down with the prizes. So what we're going to do is, because it's just Adam and I, we're going to do the prizes and so forth together. So it's all of, it's everything that's there. That's the Mosley. Sorry, folks, as we talk about this live, that's the New Balance, that's the Dartfish, and the last one's the Mouthguard. And we're there. .23 minutes gone, 27 points the margin. Sting has really got out of this. There is a free kick going the way of Sacred Heart, and everybody is just walking away slowly, begrudgingly, and that's the Sacred Heart players. This is with Harry Morgan, who kicked a lovely goal prior to that might get a mention shortly. This one a little bit more of a standard shot, and of course that's a try. So the ladder, as I see it, and I've just given, just gave Adam my clipboard that has that. Glenunga undefeated 6-0. Put Prince Alfred and Prince Alfred a second with one loss, 5-1. Then we're going to have Sacred Heart, Port District and Tea Tree Gully. Third, fourth and fifth percentage will sort those out. They're all going to be on 4 and 2. Then there's a gap. We've got a bit of a separation in Division 1. A 2-game gap between third, fourth and fifth. And then on 2 and 4 will be Broadview and Brighton. And then with 1 win apiece, Old Ignatian, St. Peter's and the Goody Saints. This is Elijah Loby. And that's a miss to the left. Let's have another look at that miss. Been that kind of day. 29 points the margin. Sacred Heart are going to go to 4 wins and 2 losses. There is your siren. At the end of the day, it is a 29-point win to Sacred Heart. The Sportal scoreboard, 11-15-81. Brighton Bombers, 7-10-52. It was Sacred Heart by 1 point, I think, at quarter time. And then they held Brighton goalless to lead by a couple of goals at half time. Stretched it out to 23 at 3/4 time. And we will take a very short break, folks, but don't go too far. Okay.
News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on or a message from the club, whether it be, like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support.
Nine News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Beautiful. Welcome back to Brighton Oval, a big ring to Sacred Heart Old Collegians. Time to give out the awards. Winning today is the best on ground, the New Balance voucher, plus the iconic Dartfish beanie, a man bringing, well, a homecoming game, Bo McRae. Bo, just come over here. Don't be shy, guys. Bo, welcome back to Brighton. How is it coming back to the old Oval?
Yeah, it was good to be back. Played all my juniors here, so yeah, it was a bit of fun playing against some old mates. But yeah, head up for a beer now and talk some stories, so yeah.
We thought maybe best player goes to the man who needs the most laundry work afterwards. You enjoy these kind of conditions?
Yeah, I do. It slows the game down for me. I'm not a quick player, so yeah, I don't mind it.
Nice, Bo. Congratulations, mate. The player of the day, Neomouth Mouthguard, secure custom fit protection, unbeatable cover. Don't be shy. Harrison Morgan, a nice solo effort with a beautiful little ricochet bounce that landed in your lap and a key goal in the third quarter.
Yeah, no, it was good. I think it just started from our pressure, really. So we were pressing up all game and just made them fumble and put them in under a bit of heat, and I just got to the end of it, got pretty lucky, so it was all good.
And do you enjoy playing in these conditions?
Yes and no. Like, it's always good fun because it's always everyone's a bit in and under, everyone's just jumping around doing stuff left, right, and centre. But yeah, it's always a good win when you get a win in these type of conditions because it's muddy and everyone just head over the footy. So yeah, really good fun.
Well done to the boys. They're about to head, and I'll let you go. But very quickly, Sean Tapp. Sean, Moseley, Burr and Kitchen making the most popular player on the team. We were looking for someone to do some spoils all day, and you came up big. Tough day for a big guy.
Yeah, it was. Not a big guy down back though. It's coming in pretty sloppy, so it sort of worked in my favour a bit. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
And Brighton, Sacred Heart, so close proximity-wise, schools, and is there much of a rivalry between the clubs?
Yep, sure is. Every time we come out here, we know it's going to be a hot one. So yeah, we're ready for it, and the first quarter showed that, and I think we just managed to gather ourselves a bit better and got the W. So.
Well, congratulations, mate. Won't let you miss singing the song. Congratulations to you and the Sacred Heart lads. So that is it for here. Just going to have Adam join me in a sec. The other results, we believe Prince Alfred have won comfortably. Adam, don't run away. Goody Saints went down to St Peter's, so they've got a win. Port District beat Tea Tree Gully. That's probably the biggest result, 27 points. And Glenunga continued their run. The ladder, Glenunga 6-0. Prince Alfred Old Collegians 5-1. Tea Tree Gully, Sacred Heart, Port Districts all in 4-2. Then we've got a bit of a separation. Broadview and Brighton, 2 wins, 4 losses. Spock and Goodwood Saints and Old Iggy's on 1-4. Adam, thanks for coming back. I was a bit worried there for a sec. Some final thoughts from you on the game today?
Yeah, it was a tough slog, wasn't it? Full credit to Sacred Heart, though. Like I said, they've come into Division 1 and done really well. Brighton aren't far off the mark. Like I said, I don't know what they can do. They can find a sneaky SANFL player that doesn't want to play anymore. They're just lacking a couple of weapons to really hit the scoreboard when they do have their turn. But a good win for Sacred Heart today. And it was exactly our predictions were spot on, weren't they? What we thought the game would look like, the free kicks, the yellow cards, the buddy bet. So no, it was an entertaining game, especially in that first quarter, but well done to both sides. It was not easy, not a lot of uncontested ball today.
Well, looks like we're about to get involved in a women's footy game, so we might need to take off. Adam, thank you. Where are you off to next week, do you know?
Not sure. I might have the Goodwood game next week.
Old Ignatius.
They'll need a win. Yeah, they'll need a win after what happened today. But yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoyed calling the game with you.
Same here, mate. All right, we're going to nick off because we're not insured. Phil Hurden on behalf of the Filming Footy crew. Thanks to Liam, thanks to Hugo, thanks to Boss John Douglas and the crew. We will be at Port District next week for their game against their own page in Glenunga Rams. Until then, good night.
Nine News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on or a message from the club, whether it be, like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support.